And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello everybody, yes it's us again here at Who's Views with your Sunday big show, Sunday the 16th of February 2025. I hope you're all well, nice to see you all. Everybody come in the chat because yes, it is the big show. We've got lots for you to talk about tonight, so we want to hear your opinions. Straight away I'm going to go to the chat. I want to say thank you to Lex Kane who's in the chat for his super chats. A couple of them there. Lex, I know what you're saying here. He's firstly said to us, thank you William Shatner, legend that he is, for this information. Disney ruining the franchise, but said it was Luke Skywalker actor Mark Hamill who ruined things. Why? Because one time he talked about the interpretation of Luke's sexuality. Yeah, I saw this on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, this very week, Lex, where Mr. Shatner was saying that. It was so obvious, though, that Luke Skywalker is not same-sex attracted at all, is it? It's just so obvious. So if Mr. Hamill has gone off, and I don't know the full story, but if Mr. Hamill has gone off and started talking about that, it seems to me that it's another one of those, well, we all know he's far left. Let's put it that way. And he's all on that bandwagon. And he's probably losing his mind as we talk now, because, of course, he'll still be going into Trump derangement syndrome, won't he? Let's face it, because they all have, including our very own David Tennant, who is at this very moment presenting the BAFTAs again in London. Yes, all down there in sunny London town. He's there. He's already had one go at Trump. Let's see who else he manages to get at throughout the evening. We'll be reporting on that probably in another issue of Headlines, but there you go. Yes, so listen, here we are, Sunday the 16th of February. Good to see you all. Welcome, 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 welcome. And have you heard? Yes, predictable as ever, as somebody once said in our beloved show. RTD has tiptoed off. Who knew that was coming? Well, we did, because we've been talking about it on and off as a hint all year. Juno Dawson is claiming the most expensive episode ever. And, of course, Disney is one of the many businesses this week that has bucketed and thrown out the window the DEI. We're going to be talking about all that and some other things that come through here on your big show tonight. It's Headlines here at Who's Views. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like the video. And if you're new to us, please subscribe to the channel. These two have already subscribed and they've already given the thumbs up. It's Paul and his third Dr. Ian. Gentlemen.
Hello there. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Oh, hello,
Can
hello.
I say one thing? Can Russell do more than tiptoe off, please, if he doesn't mind? Thank you.
I don't know about Juno's being the most expensive, but I've got a feeling it'll certainly cost them. Let's put it that way.
Yes, it certainly will. Yes, yes.
Big star.
That's the Dr. Ian starting to show off in deep thought, everybody. It's great to see you all. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice. Isn't it lovely? So one of the things I love about our headline show on a Sunday is that I know that I now know that lots of people are going to join us and they're going to come along and say hello and they're going to give us their opinions. And that's fantastic, isn't it? So it's great to see you all in there. It's just wonderful. So thank you for joining us. And yes, we do have a lot to talk to you about. But I want to start this evening, if I may, everybody, with some great news, actually, that happened, which to me signaled a real return to common sense. I personally have this feeling that common sense and truth are reasserting themselves across the world. And I can't believe it's actually down to a Republican government in the United States of America. Oh, if my younger self could see me now, he'd be like, what? What are you talking about?
That's stranger than fiction, definitely, yes. Yeah.
It absolutely is true, though, isn't it, guys? And I am referring from my side of the stuff, from the LGBT community, to this news that came through in the week, which I rejoiced at and had a little party. The US Park Service strikes transgender references from the Stonewall website. The T was removed in references to LGBTQ+ on the official site for the Greenwich Village Monument, which marks a milestone in the fight for gay rights. Thank you to the US Park Services. Now, I'll just briefly explain what that's about. Stonewall Inn, guys, in New York, in Greenwich, was where the riots of 1969 started, where a group of same-sex attracted men were starting to be bashed around and being pushed into vans and arrested by the then New York police force. And a riot broke out. And as the story, the proper history goes, a lesbian called Stonewall kicked off, why doesn't somebody do something? And by God, they did. And they rioted and they fought back. And that's why we have the Pride events, because the first Pride event was the year after in 1970 to mark that occasion. Yeah. In recent years, of course, it's been changed to add the T and the Q. And this cult has also inserted a trans person into that historical event. However, they've done it wrong, because the trans person, the trans woman they say was trans woman, was actually a gay man in drag who wasn't even there. That's an historical fact. So for years, we put up with this whole thing of this TQ stuff coming and being enforced onto LGB. So for this to happen at the actual monument in the Greenwich Village is a huge achievement for LGB people in the States. And yeah, I think we're all together on this particular one. Now, of course, predictably, the far left went into meltdown over this as the TQ cult started to scream and shout, and by goodness, they weren't happy.
Aren't they always?
No, not.
Well, they are a bit, aren't they? They tend to go into meltdown if they run out of soy latte on a morning, don't they? So this it's not going to take much, is it?
Well, this is the cult, of course, the TQ cult that is dictating to us how we should refer to people and how we should speak, and that trans women are women and trans men are men. All this sort of stuff. They're telling us they have to do that. They've been telling lesbian and gay men and bisexual men and women for several years now to include these people in our dating pool, which is homophobia because it's heterosexuality. Okay, so you've got all that there, but I can tell you
highly confusing as well.
Not from my point of view, honestly, not from my point of view. But I can tell you there'll be a lot of people who are not happy with this achievement right now, and we all know one big one, don't we? That's not going to be very, very happy with it. I can assure you. Before we get into that, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody that is joining us in the chat. It's lovely to see you all. I know we've got a super chat, and I'm trying to find it because the chat is going so quickly. Have you guys seen this? It's from Digby, I believe. Yeah, but the chat is going so quickly. Oh, there it is. I've got it. Thank you, Digby. I found you. Evening, JT. Thanks for bringing the latest news. You're the JD Vance of fandom, bringing uncomfortable troops to humbugs everywhere. Thank you for that one, Digby. Thank you for that. What a speech he made. JT Vance for Europe. He kicked their ass, didn't he? And then everybody it's been a meltdown week for all the far left. Another one for them. They must, as they see their world that they've tried to build and dictate to the rest of us, crumble, you know, and all their lies and their polished turds just disintegrate in front of them. It's absolute nonsense, because everything he said, as far as I'm concerned, in that speech was true. Basically, he said, would you listen to your people? What's wrong with that? They don't like that, though, did they? They did not like that.
No.
But anyway, there is lots of you in there, so thank you very much in the chat. I want to know what you start. We're going to start with the stories, because one person that's not going to be appreciative of what's happened in Greenwich Village, one person that is not going to be appreciative of everything that's happened with LGB without the TQ and the advances that are happening is, of course, you know it, we know it, RTD. And who could have possibly have predicted that at some point he would do an independent production for Channel 4 based on Canal Street in Manchester that would deal with the TQ cult issues? Well, we did, because for over a year now, we've been hinting that this was coming, because I'd actually heard about it last year as Doctor Who Series 1 was coming on.
I wish you'd done that instead of Doctor Who, don't you? Yeah.
Well, to be quite honest, who the hell's going to watch this? Let's have a look at this, because he did announce it. And remember, this is the man that doesn't like or doesn't use social media on his Instagram. Russell Davis 63, Tiptoe, new for Channel 4 in 2026 from me and Nicola Schindler and Key Street Productions. A suburban thriller. It's the story of Leo and Clive, two neighbours in Manchester, but two men who should never live next door to each other. As the world heats up around them and every word and opinion and glance gets weaponized, it's a battle for survival in a world running off the rails. It's going to be 5 episodes. So excited. Thanks to Channel 4. They're my spiritual home. and Canal Street is my second home. So when they combine, and then he does those little silly explosion things. So that's his Instagram. That is him there with Nicola Schindler, by the way, producer. Now, Nicola has produced an awful lot of his shows in the past. For those of you outside the UK, or those of you in the UK that don't know, this is Canal Street in Manchester. This is the famous, what used to be known as the Gay Village. I can tell you on first hand now, it isn't. Myself and friends have actually been asked to leave Canal Street for our viewpoints, which when we don't bend the knee to the TQ cult. So various drag queens have also said, oh, you're, and they slag you off and all this. I can deal with drag queens. They don't scare me. It's a man in a frock. But, you know, it's a basically, they have asked gay men and lesbians to leave if they say, no, we're not going to bend the knee to the TQ cult, and a trans woman isn't a woman and a trans man isn't a man. They've been asked to leave. So what was a very inclusive space back in the day, strangely for these people that love inclusion, is no longer. It's very exclusive because they kick you out if you don't say you agree with their viewpoint. It's one of the wokest and poisonous far left scenes in Britain, actually, in Manchester, guys. It's terrible.
They don't love inclusion at all. That's complete nonsense, isn't it? Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah.
It is. It's weird, but that's Canal Street. That's if you've seen Russell T Davies's original drama that propelled him to the sort of celebrity he has, which was Queer as Folk from the late 90s. That's where it was set. Oh, strangely, most of RTD's dramas, apart from Doctor Who, are set on Canal Street. Strange.
Well, we've not seen
surprised
season 2 yet, have we? Let's be honest. You never know.
No. I've often wondered if the TARDIS would materialize on Canal Street down there, but it hasn't there. So yes, so this is it. Now, let's get into this. Well, there are a few people, not as many as I expected, but there were a few media outlets reporting this over the last few days. Some of them have caught up over the weekend, but this is the one I selected. It's from TV Zone UK. Tiptoe, Channel 4 announces new drama from writer Russell T Davies. Channel 4 has commissioned a powerfully resonant new original drama, Tiptoe, from the multi-award-winning Russell T Davies, produced by Key Street Productions, which is part of ITV Studios, and executive produced by Nicola Schindler. The article goes on to say, in Tiptoe, Davies will explore the most corrosive forces facing the LGBTQ plus community today, examining the danger as prejudice creeps back into our lives. Problems we thought were long gone are returning, toughened and weaponized until no one knows truth from lies anymore. And by God, the author would know. The 5-part series will follow Leo and Clive, who live next door to each other in Manchester. Leo runs a bar on Canal Street. Clive's an electrician with 2 teenage sons. But just as life should be settling down, the world around them is growing more tense. Words become weapons, opinions become radicalized, and gradually 2 neighbors become deadly enemies in a tense suburban thriller which challenges everything we consider to be safe. Good grief.
So it's a bit like Love Thy Neighbour, is it? Yes.
Who knows, boy?
Yeah.
The 5-part series will follow Leo and Clive. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've read that bit. Here we go. This one here. The series, populated with a cast of vibrant characters and underscored with Davies's trademark wit and deft humour, is an urgent yet gripping tale that brings a spotlight to bear on the re-emergence of an incipient threat. 25 years later, the team behind the groundbreaking Queer as Folk are returning to Manchester and Canal Street with this vital story that speaks not just to the queer community, but to the world today. RTD writer and creator said, "It's my honour to combine my old home, Channel 4, with my second home, Canal Street. This is a show I had to write because the world is getting stranger, tougher, and darker. And frankly, the fight is on."
Boring.
Nicola Schindler, executive producer, said, "I am so pleased to be back with RTD at Channel 4 and to be given the chance to tell such an important story. Tiptoe is not just a timely drama, but a captivating story shot with Russell's brilliant wit, warmth, and devastating poignancy." Ollie Madden, director of Film 4 and Channel 4 drama, said, "It is a huge privilege to back this remarkable new series from Russell, one of the greatest writers of our time, and the man behind some of our most era-defining hits, including Queer as Folk and It's a Sin. We couldn't love Tiptoe more. It is funny, gripping, full of heart, and an urgent call to arms. It perfectly I can't talk tonight. It perfectly represents what we're about at Channel 4, and we are beyond thrilled to be working with Nicola, Russell, and Peter again on this very special show." Tiptoe was commissioned by Ollie Madden, director of Film 4 and Channel 4 and Drama, and Gemma Boswell, commissioning editor of Drama at Channel 4. It will be produced by Key Street Productions with Nicholas Schindler, RTD, and Peter Hoare serving as executive producers. The casting will be announced in due course. Well, of course, I can tell you now that the casting will include some non-binaries, several transgenders, and probably a couple of drag queens. So there's no news there, really, is there? Do you know what I mean?
It's just the same old again, isn't it? Let's be honest, isn't it?
It is. And do you know what? It's shocking, isn't it? We've lost Third Doctor in, but hopefully he will be back very shortly. It's shocking. This whole thing is shocking. The reason being, it's again in the wording there. It's about the queer community, which isn't the LGBT community. It's his assumption yet again that he's in the right. He knows best. Everyone must watch his drama and then comply with whatever the messages are in his drama. It's 5 parts. I've got the feeling that when this is broadcast next year, this is going to be a major flop.
Well, if the world changes as much as we're expecting, it will be so out of date, even more out of date than Doctor Who's going to be, probably.
I would pick issue with how it describes it as new and original, because nothing he does is new and original. Talks about things being weaponized. He's one of the people that's weaponized it. And I'm assuming that the electrician guy with 2 sons is a straight guy and he's going to be the evil one hating on the gays.
Yeah, he's the villain.
Like that, I would imagine.
I would think
I
so.
would question what qualifies RTD to write straight people.
Exactly.
Good question.
What experience does he have? He has none. It can only come from a biased, nasty perspective, because he's a nasty, fat little man, frankly, in my opinion.
Allegedly.
Well, no, and he is. He's
Okay,
absolutely. And he is nasty. And the things he has said in the last 4 or 5 years are incredibly nasty. And nobody's been able to do anything about it because he hasn't been employed by the BBC. They've turned a blind eye to some of the stuff he has said, simply because we don't employ him. We're getting an awful lot of people in the chat. Thank you very much. Keep the chats coming. I have lost you. I will try and get back in touch with you as soon as I can, because it's just going so quickly. It's going so quickly and there's a lot to go through. So please keep going. I will try and catch you up. Paul Rose is saying, a canal seems fitting for RTD. It's foul smelling, full of slurry and rubbish. It's true, isn't it? It's true. And Jane Smeewood is saying to us, this is clearly much more RTD's thing than he should have kept this totally separate from Doctor Who. This is what it was about. He tried to push this agenda into Doctor Who as well. And there has been an almighty backlash. And there's a second set of episodes coming, which will also double down, I personally think, on all those messages. And, let's look at the fact here. He has now gone into production on this series, which was going to take him through this year. This is, I believe this is a fairly quick shoot, but the production's going to take longer. So what we're looking at here as well, this is the confirmation in my eyes that there is no Doctor Who at all going to be filming in 2025 at all. Guys, I need you to chat with me a bit because I've got to sort my
I agree totally. If he was doing Doctor Who now, he'd be working on that, not doing something else. So this is obviously his new project, and he's left now, and Doctor Who is over. Bye bye, Shooty. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Well, if he's had this announced now, he's obviously been writing it for a while.
Yeah.
Because you've got your episode count, you've got your storyline. He's been writing this for a while. So I would say the last 6 months, 8 months maybe of his time have been spent on this, whilst he's been quite happily bullshitting people about how fantastic Doctor Who is, and he's been prepping series 3 scripts and everything else. It's all gaslighting, but then that's what
he's written all of season 3, hasn't he? Apparently, and that's recording next month, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Some people are telling us. Yeah,
is that what the fans are saying? Is that what
some fans are saying that they're claiming that it's going into production? But I've heard various things that shooting's left and stuff like that, and blah blah blah. So who knows? But but I doubt it. I doubt it's coming back. It cannot be coming back in the state it is, surely.
Well, it's certainly not. To those people who are saying, and any alleged fan that is saying Doctor Who's going back into production, is that you are talking complete nonsense and it's time to grow up. It is not. There is no Doctor Who in production ship. We have seen Bad Wolf basically pimping out their spaces. Their studios are quiet. They are in the dark, as we used to say in theatre. It's not going to happen. There's certainly not. If it was going into production next month, we would be told and we would know, and we would already have some of the dates, and we don't. I think what they're doing is they're getting it confused with Tiptoe, which is what Russell is going to be doing in Manchester with Key Street Productions. Paul Thomas Ashworth, PTA, thank you so much for your super chat. I thought RTD was writing the mythical season 3 of Who. I think he's moved on, knowing there is no Who future. I tend to agree.
Yeah, he's left the sinking ship very quickly, hasn't he? So
yeah.
We had Garbage has sent me. PTA has also given us a super sticker as well for £4, which
thank you very much. As I say, I'm behind on the chat, so I will try and catch up with you because obviously we're presenting the show as well. But I'm behind on the chats. Keep them coming. I've got another one here from Digby. Thank you, Digby, for this super chat. Reheated, Queer as Folk and Revived. Read bowdlerized version of Buffy. Are we doomed to watch the stuff that we loved from 20 years ago being revived in a distorted and debased form? Answer quickly to that is absolutely yes. Paul Rose is saying to us, RTD, here's an idea. Try doing something that isn't involved in the alphabet cult for once. You might like it. Maybe others would too. Paul Rose, I'm going to say to you, he can't, because that's all he knows how to write. He can't do that. He's now got himself into this bracket. And you've got to remember, he is a 61, very angry-year-old man. He is very angry because his ideology, his preaching is falling to bits. He's got people like me questioning him and challenging him and arguing against him continually. LGB without the TQ in America is now becoming true. That will hit us eventually here in the UK. It may take 4 or 5 years, but it will eventually get here. The message will get through. It is already starting to get through. We've got various cases going on in court where women are challenging men who say they are women. There's loads of stuff going on in this country about it, and he won't like any of it. He wants us in line. You know, it's as simple as that. Domgo was having a joke here saying, I do hope it doesn't distract him from writing season 3 of Doctor Who.
Exactly, yeah.
It will. Paul Stenterford saying here, I don't think that RTD has ever had an original thought, ever.
I wonder what distracted him writing season 1.
Oh. I think he got season 1 and season 2 of Shooty Who mixed up with this particular thing.
Is that a euphemism?
And no. Doc Martin, who I bet one of the characters will be Russell Tovey and a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah,
you can actually, you just know what this is going to be. You really, really do. We've got here as well, Craig Dunlop. I can see one way in which RTD's Tiptoe will be best in season 2 of Who. It's 3 episodes shorter.
Good point. Yeah.
Fred Weir is with us as well. Difficult to predict the landscape, particularly on TV in 2026. Good luck with this one, Channel 4. The way I look
we're expecting the ratings for that as well, to imagine, wouldn't we? Yeah.
Yes, we will. We're looking at the ratings of that as well, because the way I look at this is simply the filming it. He's written it over the last year. He's very, very angry. They're filming it now. They're going to ignore absolutely everything that's outside their cult dictate. They're going to. Nothing's true. Everybody's wrong. Everybody's far right. Everybody's far right, and yet the far left are going to be looking at this and saying, oh, this is wonderful, it's marvelous, as you could see in that press release already, and all the adoration he's getting for it. They think he's the main man, he's the big voice for what they believe is the LGBTQI plus community. What a load of nonsense. They will not acknowledge the fact that LGB are turning around now and saying, we're not having this. More and more same-sex attracted men and women are waking up to this fact. And they're coming back to reality. So by the time this does come out in 2026, I don't think anyone's going to watch it. The Mecronon, hello to you, saying, easy solution, just don't watch it. I have no intentions of watching it at all.
Yeah.
I am going to be delighted when it crashes and burns, just like Doctor Who Series 2, mate.
No intention of watching that.
Yeah,
no interest.
Not my thing. Yeah.
What have we else? Right Charlie's with us. Hello, Right Charlie. Go. I don't know what that means. Sorry, mate. I have no idea what that ends. Go, me, bathtub and friends, no doubt. No idea what that means. Sorry, mate. And Marjorie is with us. RTD has run out of ideas. Time has changed, and he's grasping at straws. He really is. And this is going to be this drama, this 5-part drama, which will be all about the TQ cult, will show that. And his anger will be very evident in those 5 episodes. I can guarantee TU. Also, Sean Cryer saying to us, wow, who would have thought Davis had this kind of range? It's so radically different from everything else he's done. By his own admission, only Kind can write for Kind, which is a load of bull anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it is, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you can write for anything you want to as long as you research it properly. That's the thing, you know?
Yeah. Derek Hart. Hiya, Derek. RTD, Channel 4 can keep him over there and get a decent showrunner to put in charge of Doctor Who. Take it back to its roots, being mysterious and strange like how it was in the original series. Yeah, so that brings us on to this. You know, I've been saying for a little bit a year that this is exactly what he was going to do when Doctor Who was out of production. Doctor Who is now out of production. And here's the drama that I knew was on the way from last year. It's called Tiptoe. It'll be on in 2026, and it's going to be full of the TQ cult messaging. Any sign of Doctor Who coming back? I genuinely think this is the biggest indicator now that Doctor Who is done. What do you guys think?
I've thought this for ages. I think there's no way it's coming back. I mean, if season 2 does well, I'll be absolutely stunned, because there's no way it can. We said it before. It's an extension of season 1. It's exactly the same thing. It's going to die on its arse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say any different from that. I think exactly the same. You know, they filmed them, as we've said numerous occasions, they filmed them both back to back. They are going to be very, very similar themed. Series 1 absolutely bombed. I don't care what anybody says. Those ratings, that kind of level of merchandise sales, it's bombed. Just get with the program. It's bombed. Series 2 is going to be no different. It's just going to double down on stuff. Look at the writers. It's going to double down on it and go even further. And it's not going to need to be buried, because it's going to bury itself.
Yeah.
I don't think, sadly, you know, I don't think we're going to have a wilderness years that will end at some point. I think it's been thoroughly killed by this moron in charge and the idiots around him. And shame on the BBC for allowing it to happen. One of their potentially biggest earners ever. Always has been. But when they brought it back, you know, he was reined in to an extent. And when he came back again, he's had this God complex, hasn't he? And it was dying on its arse anyway, thanks to Moffat and then that buffoon. And he's just brought his own ideology into it, and it's not the program that it was. You just have to go back and look at some of the classic stuff that we've been reviewing to see that it's an entirely different program to what it was, and it doesn't even deserve the same name, to be honest. Take the police box off and you wouldn't know, to be honest.
Well,
so
that's all
I
that
think
together, isn't it, Ian? The police box and the bastardization version of the theme tune.
Yeah, and that's fairly awful. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
I just think now the future of Doctor Who is potentially a few years down the line, maybe a film, maybe a TV film, or if they do it properly, a cinema film, maybe. But you need a few years before that. Otherwise, I think it's just books and merchandise, probably entirely rooted in the classic series.
Well, I have a theory about what could happen there. But first of all, Paul Rose, they should just create an Alphabet Cult streaming channel and put everything involved in that on it. Those who want to can watch it all, and then the rest of us can get back to normality. The problem is, though, people like myself won't get back to normality, because that cult will still be there dictating LGBTQI agendas, when LGB is not part of that. And at the moment, I find myself, along with millions of other people who are LGB, same-sex attracted people across the planet, doing what we had to do in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and here in the UK into the 90s. We are fighting for our rights as the TQ cult, and everybody that is supporting them comes through and starts to dismantle our hard-earned rights. So from my point of view, Paul Rose, that's not going to work, because the fight will still go on for me in my daily life. I have to actually look at this every single day. I'm presented with LGBTQI plus prides, LGBTQI plus this. Look at what the Football Association is doing now with these stupid, ridiculous, out-of-date rainbow voices. And if you speak up against them, like a young lady has done recently who happens to be a lesbian, the police are knocking on the door. Why? Wanting to know things like, why have you separated the TQ from the LGB? Businesses of them as theirs. Get a grip. That's what what's it called? Unconscious bias training does to you.
Yeah.
Go and arrest some criminals. There's plenty of them in the United Kingdom, for crying out loud. Go and get them. So that's from where my point of view is. And because show businesses jump on this very ill-informed bandwagon, and strangely, they didn't back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when LGB needed them. They didn't want to know. In fact, agents were telling same-sex attracted clients, don't say you're gay. Look at Elton John. Look at George Michael.
Yeah.
Don't say you're gay.
Yeah.
You won't get a fan base. You won't get a fan base. Now, LGB is being suppressed again, but everybody's starting to speak up, and we've got the confidence to speak up now. And as we're going to be seeing later on in the show, the DEI is also now gently start to be thrown out of the window. That Russell T Davies won't like that either. Can you imagine if the BBC turned around and said, we're not doing the DEI? He'd have a kitten, wouldn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have a fit. Farsight is right with this one as well. Look at that RT interview. The wording tells you everything you need to know. The Macronon is saying Juno Dawson having the most expensive episode. Sure, that's just for his nails alone. Yes, we are going to be talking about Dawson in this show again. And no New Who in 25, says Paul Stenterford. There is a God after all. Well, there is New Who in 25. You mean 26 there, mate, don't you? Because they would have to film it in 25, broadcast it in 26.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. But Ian, going back to what your point there as well, I have always said that this stage where Doctor Who is now, it would be a financial suicide to try and do a movie. Not going to happen because nobody's going to go and watch it. In some cinema, in some places like London, it's £25 to £35 to go and see a film. Who's going to pay that for a Doctor Who film?
No.
You know, I wouldn't pay £7 like I do at my local family run one up here to go and see a Doctor Who film. Because right now, I don't know what you're getting. Because even if you watch it on the telly now, people are thinking, I'll watch it before the kids, or I'm not watching it because I know what. Because people don't. Doctor Who isn't what it is anymore.
I think it would have to be. It would probably be something like Netflix, and it would have to be probably 5 to 10 years after this rubbish is long gone.
Yeah, when the world's healed as well.
Yeah.
They should have done it at the height of its popularity with New Who, if they're going to do it at all. You know what I mean? Because they should have done it with Tennant or did it with Matt Smith or something like that when it's hugely popular in the States. That would have been a good time to do it, but it's too late now.
Yeah.
They always miss the boat, don't they?
Mark Milton, retire Mark. Yeah. He wants to know, is Bad Wolf Studios making Tiptoes? No, it's not. It's Key Street Productions with his old friend Nicholas Schindler, who used to be involved with Red Productions, who did some of the other stuff. But Nicola's been executive producing and producing a lot of Russell's ITV Channel 4 scripts over the last 25, 30 years. It's a long partnership they've had. So if he's going to write something which is outwardly something to do with the TQ cult issues, as this one is, that's who he's going to go to. And of course, she's going to say, oh, brilliant, bring the drama on. We can get the money, no problem. Whereas everybody else in the industry can't get budgets for anything. You know, but he gets it like that because he has this myth around him. It's Russell T Davies. He's the grand spokesperson for all these things that we don't understand as heterosexuals. He isn't. You're all being lied to, and so is he. In my eyes, it's absolute nonsense. Thank you everybody for joining us. There is a lot of you in the chat tonight, which is great. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, it's great. Keep it coming, everybody. Jane Smee. Shooty won't hang around indefinitely for something that may not even happen at least anytime soon, is he?
He's out of contract, isn't
he? Yeah, at the moment.
Well, the thing is, I think he may be still in contract, but the BBC have the say whether he stays or goes, doesn't he? They have the get out. It's on their side, not his. You know, but
yeah. But there's nothing for him to go back to this year.
No. But I mean, I'm sure they've got an option to keep him if they want to. I had a rumor that he'd. I saw it online that's going to run doing the circles about him up for a perfume commercial or something like that, and he's been. Couldn't get to do it, and he's really hacked off. And he's left. So there we go. Who knows? But
will anyone notice? No.
Who cares?
Let's just hope somebody comes in the future and writes the whole thing from 2017 off and just reinvents it completely, because that's what it needs. Never even minding continuing the thing, just reinvent it. Robert Payne, the irony of a time travel show having no future. Again, that. Hello to Mrs. Lisa Pertwee, she's in the chat as well. Nice to see you. Margie saying to us, Doctor Who not returning for season 3. Rest in peace, Modern Doctor Who, 2005 to 2017, making it very clear where she stands there. And Paul Stenford saying Disney will never fund another series. Those that say another series is going into production are just trying to cope very hard. But then again, they are all deluded. There's a lot of that I've noticed, Paul, this week as well. You know, when you go onto various Facebook pages and stuff like that, and you say it's no wonder the ratings have fallen. That thing they did for Valentine's Day on Friday on the BBC Studios social media, where they were doing all these things, and then they pushed the Rogue thing as well, and that really wound me up. So I'm on there saying this is one of the reasons the Doctor isn't same-sex attracted, the Doctor isn't this and that, he's not part of the TQ, he's an alien, all the usual stuff I would say to you guys. And of course I got a lot of harassment, but when you read what they're saying, it's all denial. They're denying truth, they're denying reality. You know, they are trying to cloud themselves in some sort of protective shielding so that they don't see. I mean, I was quite happy with one guy saying I was wrong in saying the ratings had come down. So of course I got the notes out from Bedouia, right back to Jodie Whittaker's first episode, and did the selection. Going right up to Judy Gatwa's last one of ratings going down. Well,
and they just say lies, all lies. That's what they say.
Yeah.
They've always had a tenuous relationship with reality, though, haven't they? Let's be honest. They struggle with it.
What is really sad, though, is I think the BBC are still trying to support it or trying to keep the brand going, which is really sad. I wish they had that kind of affection for it back in the late 80s. It would have been wonderful, you know?
That's the whole thing, though, you know, it's a clear indication to me, and you can tell me whether or not you agree with me or not. It's a clear indication that this is done. It's done. And I'm saying thank God for it.
Yeah.
Stephen Braddock. Hi, Stephen. So much for RTD's massive plan for the so-called Hooniverse. He jumped in the lifeboat and pushed all the women and children out of the way. Well, that would be typical, wouldn't it? You know?
Yeah.
That would be
if it's the Hooniverse, it's like Legopolis. There's entropy coming and it's going to be eaten alive. That's it, basically,
In fact, Stephen, the only woman he wouldn't push out of the way was somebody called Brian. Let's face it. You know, that he would do anything to save them. Not all gays are on the left, said Matthew Pounder. Well, you're looking at one here, aren't you? And it's strange, Matthew, because you are right, but you're looking on here. I'm not on the extreme left. I was always middle of the road, quite frankly. I was always quite centre left. I'm still, I think, centre left, just with a huge dose of good old-fashioned British common sense, and the fact that everybody else around me has gone completely and utterly crazy with their ideology and their ideas. I just don't understand it. Did they do too much in the 90s, if you know what I mean? I don't know, but it has been a nightmare. It is a nightmare. I think it will get worse before it gets better, actually, as well. Because they're not going to take the truth line down. I've already seen it coming back from places like the GLAAD, who used to be an LGBT organization in America, Stonewall in Britain, of course, who used to be an LGBT organization. This drama will help them, but I can't see it actually helping anybody else, because there'll be too many people understanding by then, I hope, after this year, reality and the truth of things again. You know? That makes sense?
Oh, yeah.
Tim Kins, nice to see you. RTD thinking about what he's committed to on screen in front of big audiences, no less, will inevitably only make him angrier, as turning around will be increasingly impossible for him, not easier. Yes.
He's done.
I would really like to be a fly on the wall at a Bad Wolf / BBC Doctor Who meeting at this point, or whenever they made a decision, because it'd be very interesting to see what went on, wouldn't it?
I would love to be honest. I would love to see what they're all saying about it now. But then again, part of me also thinks, because they're in the entertainment industry, and we are going to be looking at this in this show as well, so stay with us, everybody. We're going to be looking at the alleged brand managers for Doctor Who. Yes, they have them. Did you know? But anyway, they're all sitting there and they're in complete denial, Paul. They're in complete denial. And what they're saying at the moment is everything's fine. There's nothing to see here. Do you remember that episode of Naked Gun? Where he's standing there, nothing to see here, and there's whistles and bangs and explosions.
Shooting and all that. Yeah.
It's the denial, isn't it? It's the denial. Tiptoe will be out of date when it airs, says John Roberts. I'm going to hasten a guess, John. It's already out of date right now, because everything Russell does, including Doctor Who, is set in the modern world.
Yeah.
That time it's broadcast. That time he's written this. All right. So we'll be investigating this with the next series of Doctor Who, which will probably be set in 2026 and filmed in 2025 and filmed in 2024. You know,
and not just where it's set. He constantly gives you modern references. If you look back at season 1 with Big Brother or whatever, or Trinny and Susanna, all that kind of stuff, it dates it.
It really does.
Every time, you know. But,
and as I said before, Paul, that's why I think proper Doctor Who, our Doctor Who, lasts forever and will last forever because it's not set in the modern day. There's no reference to Coronation Street in 1970.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reference to Star Wars coming out. There's no reference to celebrity. I mean, you never saw Bob Monkhouse appearing in the show, for example, as himself. Yeah, there's none of that.
Yeah,
and that makes it timeless, I think. Whereas the new series is completely dated. Apart from some of the ones, like the one we did, the Satan Pit, that's not dated.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of it will. You know. Glenn Piper saying to us here, what did you think of David Tennant singing to start the BAFTAs, or is it no comment? We're happy to watch it, comment on it. As I said at the beginning of the show, Glenn, we haven't seen it because we're preparing for this. We're coming on. We haven't seen it. If there's anything that's worthy of our news, we'll talk about. I personally don't really want to talk about David Tennant because he does my head in.
He's so desperate for a presenting job, and I believe he's about to do a game show as well. It's like, what? Really? Are you desperate?
In the can, apparently. Yeah. It's all in the can.
Yeah.
I just think he's desperate. Full stop.
Yeah.
I don't think, he's finding out slowly that he is on the wrong side of history, and he's chosen the hill that he's going to die on.
Yeah.
And there's nothing he can do to backtrack from that now. He's too entrenched. And it'll be the end of him, and good riddance, quite frankly.
Lex, thank you very much for this super chat you've sent us as well. We are getting a lot of people in the chat. It's lovely to see you all. I'm trying my best to keep up with you, but keep going, everybody. Doctor Who Studio and TARDIS is now folded up anyway. Now the shop is permanently closed, like Wilco's. Bless Wilco's. Bless all of them that we lost. Now, they're saying the TARDIS set is still there because it costs too much money to dismantle. So I've heard in the last week that they're saying, that's them, that the TARDIS set is still there. Everything else in the Bradwell Studios is in the dark. It is available for anybody. If anybody's looking for any studio space and editing spaces and all the rest of it, you can go and work in Cardiff if you want at Bradwell Studios. All the details are available for you, and contacts, of course, to hire anything. But there's nothing in there yet. And that's the state of the British industry at the moment as well. We're very much in the dark when it comes to our production. And part of me thinks that that's because they've been churning out utter nonsense, which is dictated to the British viewer and not entertained for the last 5 to 6 years. Just my thought. But thank you for that one. Yeah, we'll have to see about that as well. Marine Boy 66, nice to see you, mate. RTD has written himself into a corner that he can never get himself out from. Can anyone really imagine him going against the agenda? No. And quite frankly, Marine Boy, I don't think he wants to. I think he absolutely will die on that hill of lies and untruths and conveniently ignore the homophobia that surrounds him from the very people he's pandering to, the activists. And the nastiness, the misogyny and the homophobia of those people is off the scale. And he conveniently doesn't look at any of that, does he? And that won't be in the drama.
Well, even just those comments that Juno Dawson made, the ones we quoted a couple of weeks ago.
Which you would be aware of.
We were aware of, yeah. And that's some of the things that he said are disgraceful, utterly disgraceful.
Exactly. So, it's like though when Gareth Roberts came onto headlines last year, when he was talking about his new book, which is now available in paperback, Gay Shame it's called. It's a brilliant read. It's also got Gareth's sense of humor in there on certain pages as well. It's wonderful. But he was saying that all these people are now too far down the line. They can't possibly turn back. Can you imagine what they would look like if they turn back?
Yeah.
And RTD is one of them. And instead of being able to be a mature adult enough to say, right, let's listen to this, let's talk about this, or he's just got angry and angry, he shoehorned it into Doctor Who, and now he's writing this drama as we said he was going to do.
But that's what everyone's been calling for, is just a debate, to have a debate about it, to be able to discuss it like normal, sensible, sane people.
The problem is that Stonewall here in the UK came out immediately, said there's no debate. Trans women are women, trans men are men, end of story. And that's where the
regardless of medical science, basically, yeah.
And that's had a massive effect around the country, whether or not it's in your social or personal life, it doesn't matter, because actually it will be, because it's very likely that your business was part of a Stonewall program. And that's what your HR people have been on training with this whole agenda. Stonewall, of course, has fallen out of favor with thousands of businesses in the UK, including the BBC over the last couple of years, because they just started to think, we're not subscribing to this. There's something not quite right in this. But still, it goes on. Marjorie, I've never heard of transgender until after 2018. The only trans I know are transvestite and transsexuals. Exactly. And that's where the confusion comes from as well, because they started to shorten it to trans. So when somebody says to you, I'm trans, or my son's trans, or my daughter's trans, Cynthia Nixon, please define what that means. Exactly. What do you mean by trans? Is it transgender? In which case, have you put a small child through a series of incredibly life-altering and painful operations? Is it transvestite? In which case, it's just a fella dressing up as a woman. Or is it transsexual? You tell us. You define it. You tell us. But it's convenient, again, that they've shortened the word down to trans. Mudcrab is saying, I would pay to go to the cinema if they actually had interesting movies. I know. Yeah. Captain America, please. Anybody going to see that? I don't think so.
I'll be waiting until it's on DVD, probably. Yeah.
I'm not even going to do that. If it comes on Saturday afternoon on the telly, I might look at it. But please, it looked awful, that trailer. It looked terrible. Harrison Ford took the money, ran, laughing all the way, didn't he? God love him.
Oh, he did. I mean, I'm not really aware of the history of the Red Hulk. That looks ridiculous, frankly. But anyway,
yeah. This is what they forget. Again, they're making certain things for just a small majority of people left in their fan base, aren't they? Because who's the Red Hulk in Britain? Apart from a minority of comic book people, we've never heard of him.
Yeah.
So why would you want to go and watch a film about him? No, thank you.
It's becoming a bit like Big Finish with here's a story about a tiny, tiny character you don't know much about. Let's do a film about them. It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got this one from
the continuing adventures of Binro the Heretic.
Exactly. Well, that'd be very interesting, I have to say.
It probably would be. JT, I'd left this one. It was at the same time that Garbage sent one, so this is a while back now. Okay. We've got a £2 super chat from Hugh Janus as well.
Oh,
a comment saying, it's not diverse if it's all shite. And I can't.
That's very profound, that one. Yes. Yeah.
That is quite profound. But then Hugh is very profound, isn't he, with the things he says?
Yeah.
I want to know, why is inclusion so exclusive?
It's a contradiction in terms,
isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I have been excluded from many things in the last few days over my opinion that, women are women and men are men, and that same-sex attracted men and women are entitled to same-sex attracted men and women. That's not inclusive from the Be Nice, Be Kind brigade, because it's always them, isn't it? They've always got these things next to their personal pronouns in their bios. Be kind, love everybody. Those stupid little flag things they put in, and then they try and cancel you. Hypocritical nonsense. Heretic, yes, we know that about Tennant. Yeah, we was just saying there, we haven't seen it because we were starting the show, but we mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Well, let's see what else he says, if anything, because I don't really want to talk about David Tennant because he gets on my wick, quite frankly, these days, because he's another member of this cult, and they think they're doing good, and they're actually not. They're supporting homophobia and misogyny. Sean Cryer is saying, I hope Russell T Davies, doesn't let the door hit him on the way out.
I wouldn't mind seeing the door hit him, to be quite fair.
Yeah.
I hope someone throws him out. That'd be much more interesting.
Through the door.
Through the door, yeah.
Shooty selling perfume just about says it all.
Yeah.
Wow, that was the latest story this week, wasn't
it? Yeah.
And Silver Wolf, nice to see you. I think could do new but old Who's if they. I'm gonna have to think about this, Silver Wolf. I think could do new but old Who's if they took it from Sylvester McCoy's. Have some adventures there after.
I think they could. So they could do old Who if they rebooted it.
Text. It doesn't read well, but I think if they do new whole. I think what Silver Wolf may be saying there is possibly if they took it on from the 7th Doctor onwards.
Yeah.
As I say, though, let's just get rid of this bloody numbering. Who cares what body he's in? I would, if it was me, I'd just bring back the Doctor. And I wouldn't care about the past to the point of explaining to sad fans, about what body he's in. I wouldn't care. Well,
they're even doing it. I got Peter Davis' autograph yesterday, and he's put number 5 on it. McGann puts 8 on it. It's like, I know who you are. Just put your name. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who cares? Yeah, just put the Doctor.
Yeah.
What do you think of this from Shelley? I am thinking the spin-off is going to be the filler for the season 3 of Disney Who.
Possibly. Yeah.
Shelley,
it makes up some of episodes, doesn't it? It brings up the total of episodes that Disney paid for, doesn't it? And they aren't going to pay for any more. So
no, I think that's exactly what it is. It has been confirmed it's going to be this year, 2025, rather than 2026. It's going to be on this year. Stay with us here on Headlines, because of course, as soon as we've got more details of that, we will all be discussing it here on the show. But yeah, it looks that was it. The 2 series, the David Tennant specials, the Christmas specials, and 5 episodes of this sea thing. That's all that Disney invested in. That's it, done.
The only consolation is it's not 5 more episodes of shooting. That's the best thing about that.
Exactly. So Sydney Rough Diamond, hello. So Disney have got enough on their plate now. They absolutely, and we are going to be looking at that shortly as well. Matthew, I am Matthew Pounder. RTD2 fans are whipping themselves on social media. They know it's over. But they're in, as I said before, they're in this state of denial, and therefore they're actually lashing out more than they usually do. I don't know if you guys in the chat have seen this over social media over the last few days. Ever since actually RTD announced this new drama as well, they have really been lashing out, because of course a lot of sane-minded fans came out and said, "Oh, that's it then. There's the confirmation. No Doctor Who this year." And these people have just come out and they have been lashing out. It's been hysterical.
I'm so looking forward to saying "I told you so." I really am. Anyway, but
that could be the tagline for one of our future shows.
It could be, yes. That's a great idea. Yeah.
We told you no. The Forbidden Man Disney is in free fall itself. No need for whatever that is. Thank you. TARDIS Travels is with us saying, "I think it is done." And Domgo saying, "I can't wait to see the look on the faces of all the annoying YouTubers." Yeah, we know the ones. We know the ones. Graham, hello, Graham. Totally agree with what was said earlier. Take the police box and theme away, and this travesty has absolutely nothing in common with our beloved show from 63 to 89. Well, even more, considering that Chris Chibnall recreated the entire character in his own vision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not even the Doctor. So where's the Doctor? He's out there somewhere. I think, in my head, he's still denying your regeneration in the snow from Capaldi's End, which I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Digital pollution. The Space Sentinels. It's nice to see you. You're having a good laugh there, everything as well. But nice to see you. Thank you very much. It is a laugh though, because it's so, isn't it, digital pollution? It's so obvious what's happening here.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Bill.
I hope it doesn't come back. We'll have egg all over our faces as well then.
Listen, if we do, we do. And
we'd hold our hands up, wouldn't we? We would say fair dues.
We were wrong.
Yeah, you know, because we're not frightened of that.
Adult is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And we are adults. If we've got this wrong, we will come out and say we've got it wrong.
Yeah,
it doesn't look likely though. And the big thing about this is that he's now doing this very biased, probably bigoted, angry drama, which is getting at LGBT people and people that support women being women. That's what this is going to be about. Watch this. This is where the 2 fellows who live next door to each other are going to fall out, because one's going to be saying, and it'll be the guy who works in the bar in Canal Street who's saying, "No, TWs are women, Team M to M," and it'll be the poor old bloke who does the honest electrician work, who we all need, by the way, RTD. And when we've got skills shortage in the United Kingdom right now, he's going to be the one that's going to be made out to be the biggest.
Yeah.
Completely.
Guarantee you, this is one to avoid like the plague. Really, really is. The BBC
trying to think plot points and see who's right. See how many we get. You know, Russell T Davies tropes. Just see is that one in there? Is that one? It's like almost like an RTD bingo, isn't it? We should have a shot of whiskey. Every one we get would be shit faced by the end of episode 1, I think.
I am certainly not going to be watching this thing, and I really hope it's rejected by the British public, just as much as I hope that Doctor Who Series 2 is going to be rejected by the British public. I think that one is a certainty. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this thing next year, because where are we going to be? But I can tell you who the cast. As I said, we know who the cast are going to be. Watch this space, because we'll have a laugh when it's announced. Bill Lowry saying to us, the BBC are trying to save face by controlling when the end is announced.
I don't think they'll announce it. I don't. Well,
do you not, Paul?
Excuse me. I think they'll do what they did in the 80s and just let it slide. You know.
I don't. I actually think I think they have to, because the pressure will be intense, and I think it will be measured. I think it will be short, but I do think that we're saying we're having a hiatus. We're having a little break. We'll be back in 2027, something like that, because we do know there are people from we have heard there are people from BBC Studios out there trying to get a new partnership deal. Now, whether that's right or wrong, we don't know. This is what we've heard on the grapevine, and so far they can't get one. So I think they'll do something which says it's going to take a little bit of time off, but don't panic, it'll be back in 2027 or something like this. Do you know what I mean?
And then it won't come back at all. Yeah. So same kind of thing, really.
Yeah. Go broke.
Bond film, isn't it? James Bond will return.
Yeah, but look where he is.
Yeah, exactly.
In development hell again. You know, especially the way they finished that last movie. Such a shame. Hugh Jane is saying to us, go woke, go broke, got queered and disappeared. Fair enough. It's true. And Lee Smith, the Doctor Who PR machine is a disaster. Oh, isn't it just? What PR machine? And Wankel Rotary Engine. Maybe we'll get a new version of the Virgin. Oh no, I don't like this. Maybe we'll get a new version of the Virgin New Adventures, which will produce some good stories again. No. The problem
caused the situation we're in already. That's what caused it. Virgin bloody novels. Yeah.
I'm with you, because they tried to treat everything like the New Adventures. We've also now got the problem that the New Adventures were written for, at the time, a minority of Doctor Who fans like us who would buy anything because there was no TV series. Yeah. And some of them are very good and some of them very wouldn't. So I wouldn't like that one, actually, Rotary Engine, because what I'd be saying there is what they have forgotten over the last few years is the general public. The general public have been alienated from entertainment for several years now, and Doctor Who did exactly the same thing. Yeah. You know, it's been for a minority. To do the New Adventures, no. I would say just get some bloody good writers in who know what science fiction is and start again. Let's have some good... The Doctor arriving and battling the Daleks and the Cybermen and brand new monsters. Monsters. Bring it all on, please. I want villains that are trying to take over the world. David Tennant would love that one, considering that he's just called Donald Trump a villain. The clue what he's talking about again, is it? What's up with this from Craig? Good or not? Ian just said RTD and his Scooby Gang have trouble with reality. My problem is with their inability to do fantasy. Ooh. Yeah. That's very good, isn't it? Right, Charlie. I'm gay and I'm always right. That's RTD's attitude, isn't it? And that's the reason he's getting all this work, because all these. I'm going to say this: all these good-natured, wanting to do the right thing heterosexuals haven't a clue what's going on. So if he says something, they're going to say, "Oh, that's what must be happening. Oh, they must be having the rights taken away." No. And this whole thing that RTD was going on about saying, "Oh, if you take the T and the Q off the LGB, they will come after LGB next." Nonsense. Let me just make it very clear, RTD and your little cronies. They've already come after us in LGB. And you've supported them. It's the TQ cult by telling same-sex attracted people that we're not valid, and that we have to start including transgender people in our dating pool. Wake up and smell the coffee, you stupid little man. Honestly, it does annoy me. It does annoy me. What else we got? Lex again. Thank you for your super chat. Doctor Who Studio and TARDIS. Oh, that's the one we talked about before. Okay.
It's all valid, though, I have to say.
Domgo is saying this is a great one.
Mark Greaves, JT.
Sorry?
The last one we had was about 5 minutes ago or 2 minutes ago from Mark Greaves.
I'll try and get there. We've got Domgo saying this is a great opportunity for Bog Fanish to create some good dramas again. Oh, really? Is it? Do you think so?
That's
too late for that.
And yeah, I don't think so. I think if Russell has left the fold and the Whoniverse has collapsed, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. House of Cards. Yeah.
Doctor Who magazine, Big Finish. Yeah.
There is no demand for the show in the United Kingdom. And again, with their output, it's aimed at fans who they've told to go away. No fan base. Not enough money coming in. You know, all what I'm thinking there, it just makes sense. Silver Wolf saying to us, yes, common sense seems to be in short supply nowadays. Yeah, Doctor Who is done. It's a crying shame watching it go so bad. We're all the same, aren't we? Because, it is a shame. Paul Rose saying to us, I can just imagine RTD shouting, call me a mom, as he sticks on the life preserver and jumps in the life raft. LOL, yes, from what we were saying before. Ron Sapp, good to see you. Good riddance, RTD. And Graham is saying to us, this channel is a bastion for common sense. Coming on here every Sunday reassures me that not everyone is totally potty. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Atom, hello, Atom. Hope you are all right. Oi, RTD is stuck in 2016 to 2017. He's stuck in his alleged progressive attitude. It's not progressive though, it's more regressive. It really is.
Somewhere, I know that.
Yeah.
Lee is asking, why is RTD2 obsessed with Canal Street in Manchester? Well, he practically lives there, to be quite honest, and that's the centre of the Northwest, what used to be the LGBT scene. It's now the LGBTQIA, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, whatever other letters they want to put on there, plus. And it's quite hostile as well. I don't like setting foot on it anymore. Not that I'd be welcome, because I won't bend the knee to the TQ cult. But that's why, and it's something he knows, but he keeps going back there all the time because it's the main hub of activity. And when he's down there, he's adored. He loves all that. He's a hero. It's quite sickening, really. And he believes it all as well. Oof, please. Kerr Avon, good to see you. RTD must be angry. He reminds me of Joan Ferguson on Wentworth. Yeah. He's very angry. You can see in his writing and what he says and the way he's approaching everything. Mark's sister using fringes of society to chisel away our culture, says Cast the Drone. It's about takeover of power from within. I reckon they were nearly there as well, to be honest, on the dictatorial front, because they're into our politics, they're into our businesses, they're into our schools, they're into our health services. The NHS is riddled with them here. They were everywhere. In the civil service. Goodness me, the civil service is full of these people who think they're doing the right thing. They've been on the unconscious bias training. It's in the police. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Free speech.
I don't think it's working in the police, allegedly. So
yeah, free speech has been chiseled at over the last 4, 5, 6 years. Let's just hope, everybody, keep your fingers crossed. Truth is reasserting itself. People are finding the confidence to speak up against it now. We've got to get it back. We've got to get this back into the courts a lot. And there are various groups in the United Kingdom that are working on that. So let's keep our eyes open. We've got to start doing it. The more truth we can talk, the more points. And just call everybody far left. If they call you far right, say you're far left. They don't like that, I've noticed this week. They don't like being called far left for some reason. But let's push that one.
Thank you.
It is. It really is, because they are. TARDIS Travels, it's going to be interesting implications for Bog Vanish and Doctor Who magazine. Merchandise is not selling like it used to. What merchandise?
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
I mean, what's really sad, if you look back at when New Who was really popular, you go into all these toy stores and there was everything Doctor Who, and now it's like it's never existed. It's really incredible. Yeah.
And they can't get the toys in the shops.
Yeah.
That's the reality. We were talking just a couple of
They're
weeks
not
ago.
producing the stuff that does sell, are they? And because it's an admission of failure, because the stuff that really sells, as we've said before, is the classic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's it. I mean, look how much more the proper Doctor Who season box sets sell twice over, limited edition and standard edition.
Yeah.
And the new stuff, poor old Shooty Gat with Series 1. Where's that gone?
Yeah. 2 weeks tomorrow, Ian, for season 7. 3 years, 2 weeks tomorrow for you, JT. So.
Well, you say that, but if this series comes off, they possibly might rush everything through again.
They probably will, yeah, because there's nothing else for them. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and if they know the bubble has burst, if they know that the interest is waning, they'll want to get us in quickly. Get the money while they can. Digital Pollution again saying, I miss the excitement and fantasy of, I guess you have to call it classic Who. Proper Who is what I like to call it, mate. And Jason Parker, RTD never was great, even with his gay productions. The only thing interesting was It's a Sin, which was the subject matter of the AIDS virus. Curious folk was overrated soap junk, and it ruined Canal Street. Oh, and the dull cucumber. Please don't mention cucumber again to me. Cucumber and banana, because I was in that. It was an extra. Awful. Awful. Absolutely terrible. You could tell on the script.
with Griff
The one
Rhys-Jones.
that everybody forgets about, the guy that won the pool, the lottery or whatever it was.
Hmm.
I've never heard of that one until you mentioned it.
Well, everybody forgets it. Ian's brought it up
Yeah.
again. Everybody forgets it because it was just on the cusp of Doctor Who coming back.
I remember the one he did with the guy from what's it called? The guy does QI, Alan Davis. That one he did when he was
Bob and Rose.
Yeah, I remember that vaguely. That
Bob
was
and Rose. Again,
yeah.
set in around Canal Street. It was about a gay guy that fell in love with a woman.
Yeah.
You know, Bob and Rose. That was called. It was actually okay, but
Yeah.
like Queer as Folk, I tried to go back and watch that in 2020. So dated. I couldn't get into it. Could not get into it. It was just so there back when it was produced. You know, terrible, really. Let's have a look at this. Done with Tennant, says John, aren't we all? I never wanted Doctor Who to have all these present day references, says Farsight. It works so much better without it.
Yeah.
I think we proved that on our review shows, don't we, really?
Oh, yeah.
It's like what you referred to with Terrance Dicks, JT. You know, you always said that he would always say Doctor Who was set 10 minutes in the future or whatever. He never pinned it down to a set date. And he did that for a reason. And he was smart in exactly the same way that Russell T Davies isn't.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Well, I've just been watching bits of Invasion, obviously, for our review next week, and it's absolutely amazing. It really is. You know,
it's cracking, and that was done in 1969.
Yeah,
and it's totally now. You can watch it now and enjoy it. You know, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. We're going to be talking about the Invasion this Wednesday here on the channel live at 8:00 UK time. Lee Smith, Tiptoe was RTD2's secret project.
Yeah,
it wasn't really a secret. He sort of mentioned he would love to do something like that, but the deal was done allegedly last year. And John Henson, it's nice to see you, John. What you're saying to us, RTD is living out the legends of the show, repurposing classic stories to create utter garbage. You have to wonder about the BBC allowing this to happen. Well, don't you?
Yeah.
The BBC are just as bad.
Managers aren't managing the brand very well, are they?
Well,
mismanaging managers, that's what it should be called. Yeah.
Jane Smith saying to us, they don't need to turn back anything as much as just shut up about it and go back to proper sci-fi. Jane, you and I are on the same page. Just ignore everything that's come before. Stop trying to tie everything in to please the minority of fans. Because generally, as fans, I don't think we cared that much. I really don't. I mean, we never used to in the 70s and the 80s. We didn't care that much. John found that out. John Nathan Turner. You had too much continuity. You know, it's just get on with tell us a good story. You know, so I think I'm on the same page with you there, Jane. What else we got? Where else we got? There's loads of people here. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I like that one from Right Charlie. And Timkins saying, and we're right on the middle of that nurse having to go to court with that trained doctor who is a man saying, I'm biologically a woman. This is the one of the court cases that's going on in Scotland at the moment, where a doctor is saying that biology is wrong. It's a doctor, an actual doctor.
The medical council need to really sort that out, don't they? To be honest, it's just crazy.
He needs struck off.
Yeah.
You know, poor. Oh my! I'm so angry about that whole case, and good on for all the women putting that. And of course, the lady that's taken the cut, she was actually, I think she was fired, wasn't she, Paul, from the NHS?
I believe so. Yeah.
But this is where we are. It's worse than 1984. Actually, somebody mentioned 1984 in the chat. It's worse than that. Harrison Ford, says Robert Payne, just does the job and couldn't care less about the rest. He's old enough not to care, and I don't blame him.
No, do I? But he's done so many films recently. He just did it for the money. You can tell.
And good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. I really don't mind that at all. Charlie Silvestri, nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining us as well with your chat there. What else we got here? Stephen L. Reese, good to see you, mate. How are you doing? With Doctor Who Season 2 coming up soon, why would RTD talk about a new show and start people talking about something other than Season 2? It's clearly over, and he's moving on. Interesting point, guys.
Well, I think sadly, though, there's going to be lots of PR coming up probably next month, and we'll be drowned in propaganda and nonsense before then, I'd imagine. But yeah,
I think he's refocusing just on his career. He's ditched it.
Oh yeah, probably, yeah.
And yet, something tells me, Ian, that this could be the last thing he ever writes.
Yeah, because I do think and hope that this will bomb, and I don't think his career will recover because he's destroyed something that's over 60 years old institution, and so he can't look after something that's effectively a national treasure, and he can't create anything new either. What's the point in Russell T Davies? What does he achieve? What does he bring? What does he contribute? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's derivative and it's crap.
Especially if we overturn this whole TQ cult nonsense, which is slowly now starting to happen, as we saw at the top of the stove with the Stonewall sign being put back correctly, and people being challenged more. The DEI going out of the window. We'll come into that soon, everybody. I mean, he's going to be. He's not going to be the favourite as he is just now, is he? Really? Because show business at some point are going to have to realise, oh, we've got this wrong. Surely.
If he was
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
If he was genuinely a favourite, though, you'd have executives from all different channels fighting to get him, not him going back to somebody with whom he's worked loads and loads and loads of times before.
That's a point. That is a point. And yet they would have you saying,
the only place that will have him.
Yeah.
And yet they always have you think he's the best thing about it, don't they? They always big him up. Oh, he's the best writer in Britain. Blah blah blah.
In the hope that you'll believe it. Hope that you'll believe it.
Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat. I got there eventually. I'm going to start a GoFundMe page. All proceeds go to Elon Musk to send to RTD and his cronies into effing orbit. Yeah, okay, I'll give you some money for that.
That's a giant rocket by any estimation.
Thanks for that, Mark. Thank you very, very much. And Chris Lawley is with us saying the TQ Plus has caused more damage to LGB who will survive without the TQ bollocks. As I always say to these people, we survived decades of homophobia and will continue to do so from these people.
That's interesting end of the line, and without TQ bollocks. That's an unfortunate phrase, but
comma lack of, and a lot
yes.
of the time. And right, Charlie's reminding me as well that he also wrote Nolly. I'd forgotten about Nolly. I mean, Charlie is obviously not a fan of Nolly. I thought it was okay, but nothing special.
I quite enjoyed some of it. I quite enjoyed Mark Gatiss as Larry Grayson, and that was quite funny. But it wasn't. It's like they're trying to do Adventure in Space and Time, but on Crossroads. Basically, that was it. Yeah.
Now, you've just mentioned something that goes back to what Ian was talking about before. And one of my other theories. Have you noticed this week? He says, going off on a tangent, everybody. But you know me on this show. That's where we're going now. We're going off on a tangent. Have you noticed this week that Mark Gatiss and his friends from the League of Gentlemen all met up? Why does the cynical part of me think they've just looked at the huge success of Gavin and Stacey at Christmas?
Oh, they're doing another special then, no doubt.
I'm just speculating, Paul, but it just seems, I know they're quite friendly and stuff, but why do an Instagram and a social media post of, oh, look who we've just had lunch and whatever it was? And I'm generally thinking, oh, they looked at Gavin and Stacey having been off the air for however many years it was, came back on Christmas night, 20 million viewers.
To be fair, though, I don't think that League of Gentlemen had such a big following as Gavin and Stacey, but I don't know exactly. But it was more niche. Yeah.
Possibly, but again, I look at that thing. You couldn't get away with a lot of their characters now. The Little Britain characters, you can't get away with a lot of them. So how would they do? But it just made me think, and I just thought, oh look, here's the trying to get people excited over the possibility of a League of Gentlemen 90-minute special. I wouldn't even put the League of Gentlemen on at Christmas night, would you? Because it was incredibly dark. Some of it.
Well, that's it. It's very dark. Yeah.
Those two in the shop, and I mean, look at the German character. You couldn't do him now.
The taxi driver. That's hugely topical.
Yeah. Well, it is, didn't he? Yeah. He could do him. And there was Papa Lazarou. They wouldn't dare to do that because they blacked up.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
You're my wife now. No.
Well, they called it Royston Vasey after the comedy, real name of the comedy character Chubby Brown, didn't they?
Yeah.
And hasn't Chubby Brown effectively been cancelled anyway? So they didn't find it very difficult having the town name.
Do you know
he was the mayor? He was the mayor, wasn't he? In the series?
He was, yeah. They've tried to cancel Chubby Brown so many times, but he's still out there and he's trooping and he's working.
Yeah, he's still working. Good for him.
He's doing smaller gigs and he sells out. So good for him, I say. I met him once. I don't know if I told you this. I met him once, not while he was performing. Charming man, absolutely lovely bloke. He really was.
That's
Really
the thing.
nice
People
guy.
can't distinguish between an act, a persona, and the real person. It's just really sad,
It really is, because he was a lovely, charming gentleman. Really was. And you could see immediately everything's an act.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mark Jones, for joining us. Nice to see you. Marine Boy 1966 wants to know, why is Tennant wearing a suit made up of tartan pattern better made for a pair of curtains or a three-piece suit? Flares too? I've no idea. Maybe his wife dressed him.
It's trying to really, really underscore the point that he's Scottish, just in case we haven't bloody noticed.
We did have a kilt on. Yeah, I did notice that before I came on. Yeah. So
let's face it, there's nothing under there, is there?
No.
They're in somebody's handbag, aren't they?
It's not in working order at all. No.
Well, it goes with his head.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Goes with his head. Hello and welcome to Who's Views, to Rory and Cheryl and friends too. It is nice to see you both. How are you? Welcome to Who's Views. Not see you here before, but I hope you're enjoying the content. I hope you're enjoying us talking about the headlines of the day. We're still on headline number 1, everybody. But they're saying to us, maybe Pete McTeague can take over as the showrunner. I hate to tell you this, but Pete McTeague is still part of this whole nonsense that's going on, actually. I would say, as I've said before, regular Who viewers will know, I don't like this whole American format for Doctor Who of a showrunner. I want it to go back to a producer and a script editor and a production team. And let's do that again, because that worked better for the show. If you get one person that's got this overall vision, as Russell T Davies said last year, as we reported on the show, nothing can stop me now, basically.
We need a clean break with people who aren't fans at all, who just treat it as a drama and treat it respectfully and respect the source material without ruining it all.
Yeah. But it's great to see you, Rory and Cheryl. Keep your views coming through. We've got a couple more things to talk about as we go through. Nice to see you. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Fantastic. And Daniel's with us. Hello, Daniel Raven. Hope you're having a good weekend. He does look different these days. He's still grinning like a dolt the whole time, but as they say, it doesn't reach the eyes. That's
he reminded me of like a cut price Bob Monkhouse where I saw him tonight. That was interesting, but
yeah. Well, there is something going on there. I agree with Daniel. I think it's just anger, Daniel, personally, as I mentioned. I think it's absolute anger over Brexit. I think it's an anger over the Tories and what all the stuff that they did, which he didn't agree with. I think it's anger over people questioning that a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man. I think he's a very angry man, and it's all getting confused there. And I think he's starting now to really show that. And I think the public will wake up to this, because they don't really know who Russell T Davies is. And quite frankly, they've got bigger challenges in life, like paying the bills and making sure that they get home from work in one piece every night.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to see you, Daniel. Rory and Cheryl are back straight away, saying things won't get back to normal even with the current Labour government. Oh, don't start me off on that. No. Let's not go on that one. I totally agree. Jane Smee is saying to us, RTD should go back and rewatch early New Who to see what he should be doing now. He won't, though, because that doesn't matter anymore, does it, guys?
I think it already has, because he's repeating himself already. He looked back to check on what he had done, and he's taken all the bits he thought were good, and they're not.
That's the good
point. The problem was, when he did it in the first place, it was a rip-off of what had gone on in the classic series. So
exactly.
Yeah. And when he does go back to look at the original series now, he tends to, we'll colour that and we'll snip it down to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark S. It's nice to see you. He's celebrating Series 7 on the way. Don't forget, if you haven't only just joined us, you can go back to our shows from January this year. We celebrated Series 7 with a few shows, so go and have a look at those if you're new to us. And Mark Milford saying, thanks to Disney, RTD's woke agenda failed in 72 countries.
That's quite an achievement, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Surely somewhere, though, guys, is actually looking at that and going, hang on a minute, and especially Disney.
Disney must be livid.
But it failed. It failed.
Yeah.
The whole point of Disney taking this was to bring in new subscribers. Now, we know, because we reported it last week, that has not happened. So what a waste of money, surely. Surely somebody's now gone somewhere in Disney and went, how much do we pay for this crap?
Yeah.
Surely. Do you not think?
Yeah. The CEO's from Liverpool, isn't he?
Maybe they can write it off against tax. I don't know. There might be a benefit for them, but it's not been a success, has it? They've just wasted an enormous amount of money. It's quite criminal, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
When it finally goes, it will be gone, says the Legion of James. If there's a Wilderness Years type attempt, it'll be from the cult desperately trying for one final push, and there's non-Doctor Who is over, finally. Legion James, listen, you know what I think? I don't think there will be another Wilderness Years, simply because the original Wilderness Years was a very happy, successful, and productive time for many, because we as a fan base came together and we were strong and we were united mainly over the fact that we were rejoicing in 26 years of superior time travel British television. The fan base has been told to bugger off on 2, maybe 3 occasions. God knows what's going to happen in the next couple of months.
There's not enough love for the current iteration to keep it going, sadly. But
not at all. Not at all. And we've got this super chat here from the lovely Mudcrab. Thank you, Mudcrab. Are we sure Tiptoe is really RTD without anagrams? Well, yeah, there was a bit there. It basically says it's called Tiptoe because he felt he feels that he used to be able to walk into places and ta-da, look at me type thing. Okay, now he feels he has to tiptoe in. God knows why. I've no idea.
He's 6'5". Surely he can't do that. I mean, is he just paranoid? Is he?
Yeah. I don't know what.
He's just creating situations. He's creating scenarios. He's saying things are this and they're that and they're the other, and everybody's oppressed that he loves.
You're right, Ian. He's
and it's not true.
Yeah.
And it's not true, but he's saying it, and if he says it loud enough, he hopes that people will believe it, and then we'll start rallying behind him to fight back against this mythical problem. The problems that he's talking about are as mythical as the audience for his current iteration of Doctor Who.
The problem is now, and problem being, as Jones is in the chat, nice to see you, Mick. Yeah, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this one, but the problems that RTD is saying is out there is mainly transphobia. But what he is, as I said before, conveniently forgetting to acknowledge is the huge rise in the United Kingdom of homophobia. And that's come from him and the TQ cult. That's where that's come from, because they've been pushing this whole thing of LGBTQIAA, BBC ITV Channel 4, every other bloody acronym they want to add onto it. It seems to change daily, plus. And people are sick of it. So not only are they getting at that side, the TQ cult, they've actually been getting at us, the same-sex attracted people as well. And that's become tiring as well, because that's why we have to start pushing things again to say, we are not part of that. Stop branding us together. And every media organization and every organization that's had anything to do with Stonewall always talk now about LGBTQIAA. I mean, how many times have I had to message newspapers, GB News, talk radio, presenters directly? Would you stop saying LGBTQI+? Please start making the difference. Nobody's listening. It's very, very frustrating. Really
he's kind of playing victim now, isn't he? A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. Mike C32001, hello to you. RTD goes back to drama set on Canal Street like a fly goes back to a cow's arse. Nicely said. Problem being, essentially, was here. That's why most of the League of Gentlemen in Little Britain have towed the woke line so they can avoid being cancelled. It'll either be that or they'll come up with something different and expect everybody to go back and watch it with them. Watch this space. I've just got a feeling. Really, really have.
I would really love it if they brought it back and it was really un-PC and they got away with it. That would be nice.
I'm still very, very keen and supportive, strangely, for Dawn French, who apparently has written or is writing a non-woke comedy. But of course, I hear she's having problems getting it funded.
What a surprise.
If she ever comes across this, good luck to you. I hope the rumours I'm hearing are not true. Get it on the telly, because she's a cracking little actor as well, and a comedian. So
she did make a point, though, didn't she, of doing the Vicar of Dibley and doing the BLM taking the knee. She did do that little wokey statement.
She did. But maybe she's learned.
Well, maybe let's hope so.
Because again, it was show business and everybody else jumping, including our now Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, jumping on a bandwagon. And then a few months later, they're all going, when it turned out what that organization actually represented and where the money went. Anyway, there we go. John Steed is saying to us, Doctor Who Series 2 will air in probably May. It will hardly be watched or mentioned, then it will just disappear from the screen and the BBC won't say anything. Well, we'll soon know, won't we? We'll soon know, but you know where to come for a party. Right here on this channel. I can tell you, I can't wait. I really can't wait, John, one way or the other. And
I'm buying party poppers for that particular show. Definitely, yeah.
It's a shame, as we're all saying, we are Doctor Who fans. It's a shame we will be celebrating any news of this thing coming off, but this isn't Doctor Who. Let me make that very clear. It's Doctor Who in name only, and it's an insult to us as fans. Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat. After kissing Kylie, a selfie with Sir Tom Baker hitting RTD with a baseball bat, I realised the staff at Madame Tussauds have no sense of humour. Oh, that's brilliant. Well done, Mark. I like that. That's cheered us up, hasn't it? Well done. That's brilliant. And we've got here Julianne Goodwin. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. You play in sequence unless you can match a card in an ascending or descending order. Don't know what that means, but thank you for that. That's great. Good to see it. And Lex as well. Here's another super chat from Lex. Only good thing RTD made was Sci-Fi Dark Season, which was a children's drama back in the day. A lot of us won't remember that because some of us had work.
Was that Kate Winslet in that? I never saw it, but she was in it, wasn't she? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was Kate Winslet. I saw it years ago. Was that the one with Jackie Pierce in it as well?
I think it was. Yeah.
And I saw it because it. I think a friend of mine had that on VHS because he taped it off the telly, and that's
VHS. What on earth is that?
I have no idea. But anyway, I think that's he taped it off the telly, and I think it was quite short. I think it was something like 6 episodes, 25-minute episodes, if I remember rightly. Yeah. And it was good. But some of the stuff he took in, he wrote into that, he built into Doctor Who, I noticed years later. Yeah. PTA, thank you for your super chat as well. QT, quizzical turtles, quarantine teddies, quackish trampolines, along with widdly turnips, wacky tornadoes, and wobbly treetops. You just wanted me to say that, didn't you?
A few tongue twisters there, definitely.
Yeah. That's all PTA wanted. He wanted me to say that, but thank you so much for that. Done.
You rose to the challenge beautifully, I have to say.
Oh, I do. Thank you for that. But listen, that was just story 1 here on Headlines tonight. Let's crack on with story 2, shall we? So yes, now we know RTD's new TQ cult drama is on the way. It's going to be in production. It'll be with you if you're interested in watching it on Channel 4. Obviously, in 2026. Let's hope they're privatized.
I think it'll be out. Yeah.
Anyway, Juno Dawson, everybody, is writing for Doctor Who Series 2, or has written for Series 2. As we well know, we have covered it a couple of times on this show. Well, he's out and about again at the moment, isn't he? And have you seen this with him this week? From Attitude, Doctor Who, Juno Dawson says episode he's writing is the most expensive ever. Exclusive. They're so happy about this. This came out yesterday on the 15th of February. Let's get into this straight away, guys. Juno Dawson.
Is that where the money went then, is it?
Well, let's have a look. Juno Dawson shared insights into the episode of Doctor Who he's writing, saying it's the most ridiculous episode they've ever done and the most expensive. Speaking at the Attitude 101 Empowered by Bentley event in London yesterday, the 14th of February, the writer also revealed he won't appear on screen in the episode himself. Well, thank God for that.
Oh, God, yeah.
The best thing about a writer on Doctor Who is that I get to play with characters that I've enjoyed since I was 4 or 5 years old. I got to write Interior TARDIS. I got to write the Doctor. I got to write Belinda. There's no limit to the imagination on the show. I think it's the best show ever made. The 34-year-old continued, just by the way, it's the most ridiculous episode they've ever done and the most expensive. That is an exclusive. Juno also writes a Doctor Who spin-off podcast, which everybody's forgotten. His books include The Book is Gay and Her Majesty's Royal Coven. Responding to news of his joining the Doctor Who writers' room last month, Juno said in a statement, from writing fan fiction for an audience of 1, indeed, to scripting the best TV show of, I'm surprised it got 1, to be honest, to scripting the best TV show of all time is truly a dream come true. I can't wait for the fans and newcomers to see the new season. Then it goes on to say that other attendees at Attitude 101 at the Rosewood London included LGBTQ and human rights campaigner Peter Tatchell, laugh at that one, and reality TV star Ella Morgan. And yes, I haven't heard of him either. Attitudes 101 trailblazing LGBTQs of the year include the likes of When Will You Kiss singer Ollie Alexander and Baby Reindeer star Navu Mao. So he's saying that this is Paul where all the money went. He's got the most expensive episode of Doctor Who to date.
God knows what they spent it on. Then that'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
I think everybody, you need to remember that if you're going to watch this particular episode, it's according to Juno Dawson, he is saying this is the most expensive episode of Doctor Who ever produced. Remember that if you're watching it.
Now, do we think it's Eurovision? Have they gone back in time and they've booked ABBA to come and be on it? Maybe that's
Apparently,
expensive.
well, I don't know. Yeah, apparently, everybody. What we're talking about there, the rumor is going is that he has penned this Eurovision Song Contest flavored episode.
Yeah.
Well, if it's anything like the Beatles episode, they won't be allowed to use any kind of like ABBA music, will they? It'll be nothing.
That'd be original.
Well, maybe they learned from that the last time, and that's why it cost so much money to get the royalties to get Waterloo or something like that played on it. Yeah.
This will be RTV's Waterloo, trust me.
Oh, hopefully, yes.
Yeah. Is anyone? I mean, he's loving every minute of being able to say, I've got the most expensive one I've written for Doctor Who. Now, remember, he did say a couple of weeks ago, of course, when it was out there, to all the haters, all this stupid nonsense, he's been playing the victim card. There'll be more of that to come. I'm just waiting for the story that we will cover when some stupid, woke Metro probably, or Guardian alleged journalist goes up and says, oh, when it was announced that you were writing for Doctor Who, you got an intense amount of backlash, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be the same thing as last year.
Full Doctor Who fans, yeah.
And we're going to be here to talk all about it, but it's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. They're all predictable, aren't they?
Yeah. You can't help it.
No, they
it's
can't.
It's a script to them, isn't it? It's just a script.
Yeah. Lots of you in the chat with us as well. What do you think on this story, actually, everybody? Thank you very much for being with us. Keep it coming. Time Lord Victorious, hello, nice to see you. Paul is right. The only way for Doctor Who to work at all is to have a completely brand new team that writes and produces the show. A long hiatus between now and then would also be needed. Yeah, I mean, Badweir was saying to me off air, he reckons that a good 5 to 10 years would be enough to cleanse it. But I said to Badweir, it depends how long it takes the entertainment industry to shut the hell up and start entertaining again. And stop being led by these idiots that have come from college and university who are activists. You know, everywhere's full of activists now because of colleges and universities. Get a grip. This is one good thing about DEI going, by the way. John's saying to us, the classic fan base has left. We will stick together for proper Who, but not for the modern rubbish. I think we're starting to see that now, guys, what John's saying there. I think people are starting to definitely divide into camps again now. I do think it's happening. I don't know if you guys have seen anything like that.
Oh, I think so, definitely. Yeah. There's definitely a bias towards classic fandom, definitely.
Well, it's much higher quality, isn't it? And it's genuine and it's true to its subject matter, which this rubbish isn't. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, a genuine one, you're always going to gravitate towards the stuff that's better. Yeah.
Let's see what you're saying about this thing about Juno Dawson, the most expensive episode to date, probably ever. Because let's face it, we don't think it's coming back. We've got Jane saying to us, a non-woke comedy would probably get sky-high viewing figures. Well, it did. It was Gavin and Stacey, which apparently wasn't that woke.
Oh, good.
Oh, you watched it, didn't you?
No, I didn't. No, I'm not a fan.
Oh, I thought you watched Gavin and Stacey.
No.
I watched it.
Who did? Was it you?
I did.
Right. Yeah.
I thought it would pander more to the woke mind virus, but it didn't, to be quite honest. It was quite refreshing, and it was an enjoyable final episode, to be fair, really.
We'll see, won't we, what comes back out of all this. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, as I said before, I'm hoping that these idiots, these people working at BBC Studios, BBC One, etc., in the industry, are now all sitting down and saying, why did 2 lumps of plasticine and Wallace and Gromit get huge viewing figures on Christmas night? Why did that happen? Over 20 million each on the same channel. That hasn't happened for quite a long time. So they need to be sitting down and looking at the content and saying, what are we doing wrong? You know,
but it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. You could have £10 million for one episode. If the writing's crap, it won't be any good.
No.
So.
Yeah, and now, of course, as we've pointed out, I mean, look who's writing Doctor Who Series 2. Tick box DEI hiring. They're not from a science fiction background. They don't know. They're all banging on so much now. There's only Pete McTeague that's got anything to do with Doctor Who before. But the other 3, I was watching since I was a kid. That doesn't qualify you to write Doctor Who. It does not qualify you to write Doctor Who. You need to understand the basics of science fiction. You need to understand what Doctor Who actually is. And you know, it's a science fiction time travel family drama. It's not a vehicle for activism, which is what they'll probably think it is.
Yeah.
I find it quite ridiculous where Doctor Who is now, but that's the other thing I think that's going to kill this season. Where are the Robert Holmeses? Where are the Terence Dicks? Where are the Malcolm Hulks? Where's the Christopher H. Bidmeads, for crying out loud? Just anything that can give us some good entertainment.
They wouldn't get the job, though, would they? Because they don't tick those boxes. So these much more skilled and literate people won't get the jobs because they don't tick those.
What's Glenn McCoy doing these days? Get him back. Yeah.
He's on soap opera still, isn't he?
We'll get him back. Yeah, him back. At least he's still writing. That's a good thing. So,
well, I think he is. I did see something recently where he was doing something bizarre or talking about something bizarre, because I'm not reading that. Daryl. Hello, Daryl. Boast about the cheapest episode ever. That might be the more impressive. Juno and RTD seeing who can pee highest up the wall. Yeah.
Juno would struggle now, wouldn't they?
No.
I don't know. He'd probably do better, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I don't think he would struggle at all.
Yeah.
At all. Prom Bing saying to us, I hope it's the least viewed ever. Ark in Space is saying, no one cares. Well, they certainly the not we's won't, will the Ark in Space? You know. So anyway,
can't wait for the trailers for this one. Yeah.
I can. John Mason saying to us, more money to make it watchable. Stephen Braddock saying, I just threw up in my mouth when you mentioned Juno Dawson. Domgo, Juno Dawson? No, I got excited. I thought it was a Les Dawson episode. I'd rather watch a Les Dawson episode.
That would be much better. I'd pay for that one. Yeah.
Roberts is saying to us, Robert Payne, I'm convinced it's going to be ridiculous. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think the last series, Robert and everybody else, didn't it? The last series proved it doesn't matter how much money you're throwing at Doctor Who now, because it still didn't make it good. It still didn't make it Doctor Who, because actually the more money they threw at it, the essence of Doctor Who had gone. That wasn't Doctor Who. There was no way last year it was anywhere remotely near Doctor Who. Just because they threw Sutek into it, it doesn't mean it's Doctor Who.
And they still couldn't do the mouth on the space babies, could they? All that kind of going on. Yeah.
It does make me wonder, as I've said before, where did the money go? Because I didn't see these millions and millions and millions of dollars investment into the screen. I really didn't. I think, part of me, the business side of me, think it must have been down to the rent. Must have been huge.
Yeah.
Pointlessly large TARDIS set that's not being used that much.
Yeah.
Too large. They've actually proved that the TARDIS console room can be too large now.
I wonder if anyone found out how much that cost to build. That'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, of course we will. Yeah, of course we will.
Yeah, good.
Well, I mean, we know. After '89, look at how many years it took before everything was coming out.
Yeah.
The same will happen this year. There will be books. There will be interviews. There will be people lining themselves up to come and talk, hopefully, to the likes of us about their time on the show. I'm all for it. You're here to hear first. I'll speak to anybody. We will get anybody onto this show to talk.
I don't think it'll take as long either.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll take as long.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of unhappy people going back 20 years now. So let's have a look at this. John Steve saying Juno Dawson as an exclusive. No one cares. I don't even think the people that actually look at Attitude now care, because their readership has gone down now that they're pushing the whole TQ cult thing. A lot of gay men that I know don't even bother with it anymore. It's a shame, because it's not helping the business, is it? People are going to be put out of work. Sherry, hello. How are you, lovely?
Yes, please.
We have to give people the opportunity to jump off that bandwagon. If the new work is good, we'll support it. If they own up to their previous errors, even better. But we can't cancel. Yes, and I would never say that as well. If RTD turned around tomorrow and said, oops, I got this wrong, which he won't, but if he did, I would be very suspicious.
Yeah.
But the proof would be in what he produced.
Yeah.
And
you might have more respect for him if he did, but he's not likely to do it, is he? No. Yeah.
No. It's like I would like every now and then politicians, like Wes Streeting did. Oh, I got this wrong over the whole transgender issue. Oh, I got this wrong. And then he reversed it. And he said, no, a woman is a woman. A man is a man. And he went down that line again when he got in. And I had respect for him for that. And he's sticking to it because he's being advised now by proper people, not activist sides of people, So, yeah. I know what you're saying there, Sherry, but yeah, I think you're right. But I can't see them doing that really. Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? It's just all nonsense. But yeah, here we go. What a waste of money, says Marjorie. Pee off Juno. Too late. It's all in the can. The deal was done a couple of years ago. As we know, 2022 is when RTD approached him, Juno Dawson, to say, would you please come and write for Doctor Who? And of course he said, oh yes, that'll be a huge thing for trans women and all that nonsense. And here we go. But as the guys have said here, and you guys have said in the chat, it's going to be very interesting to see how much of that they play this time round, because times are changing.
Yeah.
And even though he's gone on, as we showed in our show, a couple of weeks ago, oh, look at me, victim here, T-shirts will be available. We're not having it, are we now? The times are changing.
No.
Like you say that, 2022, it was signed and sealed. And in 2024, RTD, knowing that had happened 2 years ago, was saying, people are saying there aren't enough representation, there aren't enough diversity in the writers. And then he's saying, look, I've listened to you and I've done this. He'd already done it. It was a situation, again, like his scripts for this Channel 4 thing, it was a situation that didn't exist. He fabricated it, and then he fabricated the response to it and tried to gain the plaudits for it as a result. It's a standard playbook for him, I think, allegedly.
There is a pattern to what he does here, isn't there? You know, you can see this, you know, and I can just see what's going to happen in the pre-publicity for this thing for Channel 4. Oh, Trump this, and oh, the far right, and oh, rights are being dismantled. Nobody is doing anything to anybody's rights. It's just the truth. It's just truth. It's nothing to do with rights. Somebody saying, impressing to me, you must call me this, is not a right. It's a dictation. No wonder so many of us are turning around and saying, bugger off. Because we don't like dictators, even though in the United Kingdom and Europe now we're that close to actually being ruled under a dictatorship. It's scary times. Newcomers, says Dalek Eye, is he for real? Yes, because they're all delusional. They think this is going to. Remember what? What's his name? Jarrett Jinx Monsoon said last year. For every 4 or 5 transphobes that leave Doctor Who, no, for every 2 that leave Doctor Who, another 5 are going to come in. How did that go for you, Jarek?
Yeah.
That didn't happen, did it? But that's where, I mean, they're all screaming from the same hymn book as last year because they're not learning. The show was a spectacular failure. It was a massive flop. Tyler Durden Smiler saying the return of the snot monster. Paul, you'd love that.
I'd love that. Yeah. The best thing of Space Babies with the snot monster, the little bogeyman. Yeah. Awful joke. Absolutely awful joke. Yeah.
And Stephen Braddock is saying it's the musical episode with Rylan. There's another one I can't be doing.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be worth watching. Yeah.
Bill Lowry is saying to us, I'll wait for you guys to review the episode. Yes, we are going to be here on Who's Views. God help us. Reviewing the next series of alleged Doctor Who, starring Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. Probably.
Thank God it's only 8 episodes. Thank God for that. Yeah.
But it was still too long. That's 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it for 2 to 3 after it.
Well, that's the DB therapy, isn't it? To be fair,
that is our therapy. But we will be reviewing those episodes. More news about that as and when we know when the BBC are broadcasting, of course. But come and stay with us here on Who's Who's, because by God, I need you. I will need you all, because I'll just be crying all the way through it again. But thanks for that, Bill. And Lee Smith was saying, I was on a talk show with Peter Tatchell once, so I met him once as well, when I actually respected him, but he's gone completely woo. And this fascination he has. I mean, this is the reason why human rights lawyers really need to be pushed aside in my, get rid of them, because they are, some humans, in my eyes, people have no rights at all. Do you know who I mean?
Yeah.
But he thinks they do. And he certainly doesn't represent the LGB now, although he has changed his tune in recent months. I have to say, he's now saying that, well, no, trans women aren't women, but they are trans women. Well, of course, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he sometimes gets himself a little bit, I think, when he's on debate shows live, the messages get a little bit crisscrossed. And that's what happens with these people. When ideology and truth mixes, the truth's always going to come out.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else have we got here in the chat for you? That Juno bloke, says Eddie, boasting means it's going to be the opposite of what he's promoting. You think?
Well, they hype these things up so much, don't they? I mean, they're trying to find a different angle. They've not used best episode ever yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think was the cheapest episode of Classic Who?
Ooh.
Because
Edge
we could
Destruction.
find out, we could find out what the ratings were for the cheapest story of Classic Who and compare it to the ratings of the most expensive.
Every single series had to have a cheapest story. I mean, look at Time Lash, for example, in season 22. It got the dregs, didn't it? Really, because they were all saving up for the Dalek one.
Well, they did have tinsel in it. I don't know how expensive that could be to buy. I don't know. There's quite a lot of it, So
I know.
Time Lash still got 5 or 6 million, though, didn't it? So let's see if the most expensive
it's a lot better than this nonsense.
Juno gets the same.
Yeah, I think if you look at Warriors of the Deep, apparently was quite cheap because they were saving it up for what was to come.
Well, hiring Dobbin might be quite expensive as well from Rent-A-Ghost. That'll be quite an expensive booking.
We've got here, so Juno Dawson's Who episode is ridiculous and the most expensive, says Paul Stenford. Doesn't exactly sound like a recipe for success, seeing as most of the beloved classic series was done on a shoestring. I'm now convinced that Doctor Who shouldn't have millions and millions and millions of dollars and pounds thrown at it because it doesn't work, and I've had that proved. It just needs a healthy.
I think visually special effects could be improved in that respect with money, but it has to be based on the plot, the story, and well-written characters and a proper adventure. And those little added bits of money for effects are fine, but you have to start from scratch of a decent story.
Yeah. That's all it is. It's a decent production team, decent accountants in that. A great producer knows what he or she is going to do with the money and the look of all of it. But also the good stories. If you've got the good stories there, if you've got a decent budget, you can do it, as they proved when they brought the thing back. Because they didn't have they didn't have the money they've got now. But I'm going to stick to my guns on that. Doctor Who shouldn't be big budget.
I think obviously the New Who version, originally 2005, had a bigger budget than Classic, but it wasn't extreme like you're saying. But if you look back at it now, and I've said before, some of the effects have dated as well as the episodes. So the effects have dated quite a lot as well. They look
totally.
Yeah,
they are. We're going to be looking at that on this on this channel in the next few weeks. So stay with us. Actually, Mark Greaves is saying to us, "We all know which journalist will be gushing over him, and by God, I'm ready for her. I am ready for her. Our favourite here, yes,
Mrs. Metro. Yeah.
I am looking forward to your columns in the Metro, big time. Come on, make a fool of yourself." Hello, Raymond. Dawson is a person of low intelligence, saying he can't support Stonewall because it's sponsored by BAE systems that make weapons that, don't know if I can say that word now, LGBTQ people. They do, but they also just, and this is the thing about Yes. Now, what Raymond is talking about there, I think, is this, which goes back. This is a tweet that has reemerged. This is what people don't understand with the internet. You can put something out and you can erase it as much as you want, MPs, but it's still going to be out there somewhere. And people do tend to chronicle things and catalogue things and keep things, like this tweet, which goes all the way back to the 2nd of November 2024. From Juno Dawson. This year's Equality Dinner was a bit different. Let's unpack. Bear with me as I try to figure out my thoughts. I love Stonewall and have dear friends who work for the charity. I bet you do. I've supported them for years as a school's role model and a donor. Quite worrying. But I also deeply admire queers from Palestine. It is right that queers from Palestine apply pressure to the pressure group. Some of the companies Stonewall provide training to are repugnant to me on a moral level, but queer liberation is fundamentally at odds with capitalism, and I don't know how to untangle that. The dilemma: Stonewall supplied training to defense contractor BAE Systems. While BAE has many LGBTQ employees, they are also arming conflict zones around the world. The weapons they make kill LGBTQ people. I've said it now. Should Stonewall draw a line in the sand there? But more than one company they support is probably at least a bit murky. Banks, media groups, the Home Office. Like I said, if you're looking for moral purity under capitalism, you'll be looking forever. I don't know what the answer is. I hope that Stonewall will do what it has always done, enter into difficult conversations. They have achieved so much, but what does the next fight look like? Those are my thoughts. I wish I had more answers. What an absolute nonsense. I mean, this winds me up. Queers for Palestine, have they any idea what they're doing? No is the answer. I would like to say to them, why don't you just pop all over there and see what the reception's like?
What he seems to be looking for is a perfect society. That ain't going to happen, sadly. It's not going to happen.
These idiots tend to do that, don't they? They really are living in fantasy Gaga Gulu land. And they, you know, that whole thing, they wind me up, these alleged. Firstly, define queer. There is nothing queer about same-sex attracted people. It's a homophobic slur. So what the hell are you calling yourself that for? It's mainly used, as I've said before, by heterosexual young people especially, who are seeking some sort of narcissistic validation. Honestly, it's pathetic. And when they're coming out saying that particular group, they are just stupid to the extreme. Stupid, stupid, stupid idiot kids. You know, so what he's saying there about Stonewall as well, Stonewall has achieved a lot over the last 40 years. But the new people that are in there, some of whom are queer heterosexuals, have undone all that good work and followed the homophobic route. In fact, Stonewall right now, I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, are very busy rewriting some of the definitions they put in 3 or 4 years ago. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting, yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. But that's what I think you were talking about there, mate, in the chat, weren't you? Yes, I think that was indeed. But again, utter nonsense, isn't it? Craig Dunlap's just telling us here, Wallace and Gromit has won the Best Animation Award on BAFTA tonight. I should think so too. Hello to St. Rosie Mead, who's with us as well. And Bedweir is saying to us, a divide formed in 2017 when the Whittaker casting was announced. It's only worsened since then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's got worse and worse and worse, hasn't it? It really has.
And they encouraged it, knowing that it would happen. They played to it. It was deliberate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lots of comments on that tweet from the other year there from Juno Dawson. Crowdfund for one-way plane flight to Palestine or Iran for these idiots, says Chris Lawley. Kester Drone, queer Marxist, Antifa Marxist, Islamic Marxist, there's a theme. Yeah, and they wouldn't get on if you put them all in a party. They would not get on together, I tell you.
No.
Lots of you in here. Problem being as well, Israel has the largest pride events in the world. It does. It does. And they used to be. I don't know if they are now, Lee, but they used to be peaceful. They were known for being peaceful. Try having pride in Palestine and see how you get on. I'll start a fundraiser to send them all tickets to go there. I mean, this will wind Lee up as well as me and James and everybody else. And they are thick as mince, these people.
Yeah.
They are thick as mince.
That's unkind to mince, I have to say, but never mind.
Probably.
You can't tell them or explain it because they'll shut you down and try and cancel you because you're saying something that is opposite to what they want to believe is true. And ultimately, the only way that they can realize that is to experience it. You know, it's like trying to stop somebody putting a hand in the fire because you say it's going to burn and they don't believe you. Eventually, you've just got to say, go on, bollocks to you, put your hand in the fire and watch them scream.
You're right, Ian. You're right. I mean, I look at some of these kids and or people in general, and I don't want any harm to come to them, and they're lining themselves up like turkeys at Christmas.
Yeah.
There have been incidents now, which they are again, these people are conveniently forgetting. You can actually see some videos now of these drag queens and transgenders. They're not the same, by the way, and queers going to the marches of these people and being attacked as soon as they get there. Why aren't they learning? Why aren't they putting the word out? This isn't a safe space for us to go to. That's not where we should be going. We've got this wrong. It's bloody insanity. It's, and I hate to think where it's going to lead, but let's see where it's.
Well, I just said they don't live in the real world, and that's the problem. You know.
I know. Hello and welcome to Whose Views to Kieran Cooney. I don't think I've seen you on the channel before, but hello, it's nice to see you. Hi, I've been watching on Catch Up, and I wanted to say something regarding a movie for Doctor Who. Oh, please do. I'd love to see a movie with Capaldi with no continuity at all, just the Doctor and an adventure. Oh, that would be lovely, Kieran.
That would be lovely, yeah.
Capaldi is probably it's probably the only modern Doctor that would do it and pull it off. Not even Eccleston would do that. The problem is, Kieran, are you in the UK? If you're not in the UK, I'll let you know. Doctor Who is dead in the UK. Nobody wants to know about it. It's done. It's had its day. It's 20 years old. It's done. And the latest versions of the show has proved that, because the viewing figures, as we've proved through Breadwinner's ratings analysis on this very show, have gone down and down and down and down and down and down continually since 2018. It's done. So I think, personally, even though I like the idea of Capaldi doing it, there is no market for a Doctor Who film. I think the day has been and gone.
I'm sure the delusional fans will think because the Christmas special got more than the season got, they'll think it'll be picking up for season 2, but I very much doubt it.
We're going to be here to talk about it, of course. We're going to be playing the ratings game. We're going to be looking at everything. Tim Kins is saying justice for mince.
I'm a Tim Kins. Yeah.
It was justice for Time Lash. Now it's justice for mince. I do apologise to any mince that's watching us.
Or people identify as mince. Yeah, of course.
But there we go there, everybody. But that's where we are with that. As somebody just said to me, they're all living in cloud cuckoo land. They absolutely are. And they're not going to change now. And this is what's frightening about it. The far left is absolutely set on its goal, whatever those goals are. Because I don't think
it's an own goal. I think the best way to put it.
Could be. Yeah, let's get on. Let's crack on with this next one, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Who's Views. It is your headlines this evening. How are you? Great to see you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, and give us a thumbs up as well. But keep your viewpoints coming in as we get into this, because this has been a massive week, hasn't it, for DEI? Wow. After years and years of having this being mutilated, everybody, into something that suits the activists that have come into, as we were saying before, into business, into the charities that advise business and shouldn't do, really, into politics, into our health services, into our defense services, into our security when it comes to our police. Everywhere has been pushing the DEI agenda. Did you know that in the United Kingdom you can get a role, or at least you would until this week, you can get a role in the NHS, for example, where you are the DEI officer and can earn anywhere between £60,000 and £80,000 a year. That's how much.
How did they get that job of interest? Did they fit that criteria as well then?
Must have done. Yeah. But that's the situation. As you all know, there is a new regime in America, and in my point of view now, even though I still can't quite get over saying this, it's amazing. They seem to be returning to good old-fashioned common sense and reality. And this week we have heard of this. Disney drops controversial Reimagine Tomorrow program as company pares back DEI initiatives from Fox Business. From advanced television, Disney goes unwoke. Now, it wasn't just Disney this week that announced that certain elements of DEI particular projects were going to be scrapped. We also heard of Google, Amazon, Meta. Here in the UK, BT, British Telecom, have also started dabbling with this now. And we're also hearing that possibly Asda, which is a part of the massive Walmart company, and some of the financial companies are also going to be following suit. Now, firstly, this screams to me that none of them actually cared about it anyway, and they were all doing it just to tick boxes. Do you know what I mean? And making sure, oh, we've got this person and that person in, which has led to an awful lot of wrong people in the jobs, as we all know. But the big one for us, of course, was Disney. And what effect does this have on Doctor Who? The meltdown continued this week, of course, as the far left and a lot of Doctor Who people, I don't really like calling them fans, but you know the sort of people I mean, really started to have a meltdown over this. I was incredibly amused by it all. I was laughing my tits off, quite frankly. How appropriate. But here we go with this particular story here. We're going to go to sustainability. Is Disney the latest to pull back on DEI commitments? A story from February the 12th. Sustainability went on to say Disney has removed mentions of two key diversity, equity and inclusion programs, Reimagine Tomorrow and the Disney Look Appearance Guidelines. The latest company to scale back its DEI policies is the Walt Disney Company, the global entertainment powerhouse known for its theme parks, movies and television networks. The move comes as part of a broader trend among major corporations, including Apple, IBM, and General Motors, reassessing their DEI commitments in response to changing political and social dynamics, as you should if you're a business. Disney's DEI journey, Disney has long been at the forefront of promoting diversity and inclusion in its content and corporate culture. The company's Reimagine Tomorrow initiative, launched in 2021, aimed to amplify underrepresented voices and showcase Disney's commitments to diversity. And my God, didn't we feel it all? This program included ambitious goals such as ensuring that 50% of characters in scripted offerings across Disney General Entertainment came from underrepresented groups. However, in its most recent 10K filing for the fiscal year ending 30th September 2024, Disney has removed mentions of two key DEI programs, Reimagine Tomorrow and the Disney Look. The Disney Look guidelines have been previously revised to foster a more inclusive atmosphere that celebrated authentic expressions of belonging amongst staff. While Disney has removed mentions of certain DEI programs, it hasn't abandoned its commitment to diversity entirely. The company's latest filing still acknowledges more than 100 employee groups that represent diverse communities within its global workforce. Disney has also introduced a new initiative called Heroes Work Here, focused on recruiting, training, and supporting US military veterans as part of the DEI strategy. The wider DEI landscape, this shift in Disney's approach to DEI is not occurring in isolation. It reflects a larger trend among corporations scaling back or modifying their diversity initiatives. The change coincides with former President Donald Trump's return to office and his administration efforts to dismantle federal DEI programs. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense, President Trump said at the World Economic he said at the World Economic Forum 2025 in Davos in Switzerland. Is Disney a part of the woke agenda? Asked Sustainability. Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, believes that Disney should not be agenda-driven. The company's priority is to entertain. What have we been saying for the last couple of years on this channel? During the company's 2023 annual shareholder meeting, Bob shared that his priorities were to the business and its 75,000 plus employees. As the CEO of the company, my job is to strive to do what I think is best for our business, and that includes to invest in what's best for our cast members, our employees, or what would enable both to flourish, he said. I don't think we should or can weigh in on every issue. I understand there will be grey areas. The standard is when we take a position on matters, there's a true reason why, and in almost all cases, it has to be because it directly affects our business or our people. Hold on to your hats, everybody, because Disney-funded Doctor Who Series 2 is on the way.
Yeah.
Why did they have to make 50% of their characters from a group or collection of groups that probably accounts for less than 5% of everything?
Because that's the whole point of diversity and equity inclusion, isn't it? It's to
represent. Social engineering, isn't it? It's yes. Giving a full representation. It's like you see on the BBC. You know, there's way more, and adverts and everything else. There's 50, 60, 75% racial minorities, black people, or there's a lot of mixed, ethnically mixed couples in adverts and programs. Way more than there are in reality, and it's an attempt to try and convince people, to gaslight people again into thinking that that is actually a fair reflection of society when it absolutely isn't.
Yeah. Well, based on that percentage, or the minority percentage, then they're probably already doing it without the DEI in the first place. You know?
Yeah.
Well, that's what would have happened had they not enforced this. I mean, enforcing DEI onto people and into businesses is incorrect. Before I answer this one from Tony Crosby, can I just say hello to Silk Vampy, who's joined us in the chat. Hello, Silk Vampy. How are you? I hope you're well. So Vampy saying to us, I just wanted to say a late hello from Germany. Very nice show tonight, guys. I'm actually sad and angry about what happened to Doctor Who, but have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much. It's lovely to hear from you. Really is. Thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it. And it's nice to see you. Nice to see you. Tony Crosby was saying to us, call me old, but what is DEI? DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it has evolved from, in our country, it's evolved from this whole thing about 20 years ago of trying to make spaces adaptable for people who couldn't work in traditional offices. So putting ramps in, for example, making sure there were lifts in the building for people who worked in, making sure that the chairs were the right height, making sure the tables were the right height, you know, and trying to open it up for people with disabilities. I was there when this all happened in business, and it made absolute perfect sense. You thought, yes, of course, you know, because we didn't work from home back then. The internet was no way allowed to. You had to go out to work, you know. It's evolved. a lot over the year. And as activists have come into the workplace, oh, we've got to represent drag queens. Oh, we've got to represent transgenders. Oh, we've got to represent gay people. P.S. We were there already. We managed to get that equality in work. All these sort of things. Oh, the industry itself, the show business industry. Oh, you've got to have more people of color on the television. Oh, you've got to do that. That's what it is. And that's why you see an advert today, which is basically the DEI tick boxing. And that's why I've always said, haven't I, guys, my running gag is, how come there's a white fella with a black woman and a Chinese baby? That's DEI. That's covering all your boxes in television.
The one that's laughable the most of this is the drag queen thing. The drag queen thing is a persona. It's not a gender. It's not, it's not a real person. It's a persona. It's an act. That's just stupid, isn't it? Yeah.
And this is the problem. So that's what that is. But what we've got here is these businesses now saying, well, hang on a second, we're going to get rid of all this and just go back to entertaining, as in the case of Disney here. We're going to go back into the whole thing about just hiring the right people for the job. Now, surely if you're going to do that, that's going to balance what we call DEI up anyway, because that's professional. Looking at the CVs, looking at the applications, getting rid of all this nonsense that they've got, all these automated systems that look for all these words. It's very difficult to get through an interview process because some people don't even get face-to-face because they've got all these bits and pieces in place which will look for certain words and look for criteria. And if you don't hit that, whether you're qualified for the job or not, you're gone. You don't even get an interview.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that. It's utter nonsense. It hasn't helped you DEI. Real well, it has in a sense because it's, oh yes, I'm a person from this group or this group. Oh, you're in, But if we got rid of that and just had HR doing what HR is supposed to do, reading CVs and thinking, oh yes, I'd like to interview this person. They seem to be qualified. That's all you need, surely.
Yeah. Surely.
Am I wrong? Am I talking madness here?
No, not at all. That should be the way it always should have been. If you're right for the job, you get the job, regardless of whether you're an ethnic minority or disabled or whatever. If you're right for the job, you get the job. That's it, You
would think so. That's how we're going. But this is all I thought about when I heard about this, about Google, Amazon, BT, all these other ones, GM, everything else, and then Disney came up and said, "Yeah, we're going to get part of this as well." And then, of course, certain people in Disney got onto X immediately. I'm not going to be represented, and they're genuinely that well gone. They are insane. Oh, my rights are being taken away. My rights? No, they're not. Get a grip, But I just thought, oh, here's Doctor Who Series 2 coming, everybody, which will tick every single box, as we already know, from the writers onwards, to the directors, to the staff members, to the casting. And I thought, this is really out of date. We've been saying it for a while, but it is, isn't it? Let's face it.
Oh, yeah.
Really.
John
Cena. It's interesting how they sideline. Sorry, JT. It's interesting how they sideline white people, straightforward white people, because globally, I think globally, white people account for 16% of the global population. So you can argue with quite a significant piece of justification that white people are actually an ethnic minority, and yet it's a minority that keeps on getting kicked out for actually what is a majority all the time. It's absurd, really.
Yeah. I mean, Stephen is saying here, do you know why all these companies are dropping DEI? Because Trump gave them a time limit and said if they didn't get rid of all this nonsense, he would rain terrible fire down on them. I didn't know that, actually, but if that's what he said, which I would imagine he would do, then I'm all for it. And I'm hoping it has some sort of effect over here, because it's very difficult to operate when people are not business focused. And right now, our little island has to be more business focused than it ever has been. And it's not, because we've even got a blooming government that's too obsessed with DEI and making sure that certain minorities, who are not the minority anymore, by the way, are not upset in any way, shape or form. Do you know what I mean? It's frightening times here. But I just thought, I mean, it's laughable, isn't it, really, when we've got Series 2 of Doctor Who? Disney aren't going to push this thing, are they?
No,
not a chance. No.
What do you think about that in in the chat. Do you think Disney are going to push Series 2? Did they really push Series 1? I don't
Not
think they
really. I
did.
mean, we talked about the thing that came up recently as well about possible reshoots and stuff. I doubt if they're doing that to try and fix things. There's no way they could. They'd have to reshoot the entire series again, surely. You know,
It's too late. It's way
Yeah.
too late.
Yeah.
Well, where are they going to get the money as well? Because they've used it all. Surely they've used it all. It's
Yeah.
all been budgeted, hasn't it? We've got to remember that everything they've done for Doctor Who was done all in the one block, all done there because they were so confident it was going to be the best thing. It was going to be as big as it was in 2005. More fool them. And then they budgeted for this 5-episode thing that nobody's interested in for the alleged Sea Devils. They're not Sea Devils. You know, they've just
Maybe
been
it's
very,
like
very...
using its own money, or using the money it's got from the government, maybe, to try and.
Well, that was Bad Wolf, though, wasn't it?
They found it in the back of the sofa.
Nobody
Ian,
using
probably.
their own money.
Lots of you in the chat. Thank you so much. Daleks are forever. They've realized it's the culture that serve dictates what they do, not a fad oppressive cult ideology. I do hope so. Nice to see Dirty Hamble. That's where she went to. But Dirty Hamble, nice to see you. Trump and JD Vance have only just got started. Money talks and American money talks the loudest. We'll soon find out from our point of view, because, of course, our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, asked for an audience. He's been granted one with President Trump, who looked so enthusiastic about it, I must say.
That should be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bring that one on. I can't wait to see how I can just see Starmer going, because he won't know what to say. Really, because
it's socially inept, isn't
I'm
it?
really sorry. I said I didn't like you or something like that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I sent people over to try and ruin your chances.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the American public, please. It's just silly, isn't it? Chris Lawley is saying to us, Disney realized 5 years ago, but the machine of Hollywood moves solely through inception to production to what is released that is starting to be seen from failure of the past woke output. I would imagine that would think. Yes, possibly, very possibly. And you're right, it does take time. Unfortunately, with our showbiz and entertainment industry, we're still in the grip of it. As you can now see from this TQ cult thing, RTD, we were talking about being commissioned for next year. You know, so they seem to be thinking, oh, that's okay. I mean, it's freedom of speech. He's got to be able to express himself, but we've also got to have the right to be able to turn around and go, ha, 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 haven't we?
Yeah.
But you're right, he has to have the right to express himself because that's freedom of speech. But it's precisely the thing that he's trying to stamp out in people that don't have his worldview.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's the problem. The cancel culture. Yes. Yeah. James Dreyfus, Graham Linehan, John Barrowman, Noel Clarke.
Yep.
Amongst others, amongst many, many others. And, of course, a huge majority of the fan base. Most of us have been blocked from these people on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. We've been called all sorts. We've been told to go and touch grass. We've been called misogynistic dinosaurs by certain cast members. We've been called everything, haven't we? It's no wonder we're all a bit sore. And it's no wonder we're not supporting anything new, but it just makes you laugh, doesn't it, everybody? DEI, nice to see you still, Vampire. DEI's on the way out. And here comes Doctor Who Series 2. Do you know what winds me up as well? I didn't notice this until these idiot fans who are obsessed with all this DEI stuff. This is the first non-white TARDIS team in history.
Yeah.
And then I was upset that they've said that because I hadn't noticed that. And they pushed their isms onto me. Do you know? Why did they feel the need to point that out? Does anybody really care? Let's welcome the new girl in and see if she can act. Although none of us are going to remember it, to be quite honest, because it's from a series we don't like.
Well, she wasn't bad in Boom, as far as I remember. But
as far as we remember. I don't know. Doctor Who is dead after this season. Disney has started to change direction and moving away from the DI, says John Steed. Absolutely. TARDIS Travel saying to us, I get the feeling that RTD2 has walked away from Doctor Who. I think he's tiptoed away very quickly.
I think he's run away, probably, yeah.
And it's probably for the better for everybody, to be honest. Jane Smee, equality of opportunity to apply for a job. Yes, but at the end of the day, you should hire the best person for the job. It's common sense, Jane.
Yeah.
It's common sense. And if you are we should all have that equality of opportunity. I remember having very nice work afternoons, going through CVs of applicants for jobs when I was in a position where we were hiring and I was a manager, sitting with the HR person, and we would have tea after tea, reading CVs like we used to do in the old world. CVs would come in and we'd have the no pile, the possible pile, and the yes pile. And it could take us, a week? So to get the right people, but we do interview so many people and then you do a sifting process again. That's what I call equality, because you didn't know who was walking in the door until they walked in the door. And that was part of the excitement for me as well. Who's coming in next? Who's going to fit in? Who's going to be able to do the job? Who's going to say some fabulous things? All that seems to be gone now. It really has. What are we saying there? Yeah, I mean, there's lots of you in the chat. Thank you. Chris saying to us, Britain is not USA though. It's forced to accept American ethnicity and diversity of population to reflect California rather than Liverpool, Manchester, or Glasgow. Don't get me started and all that. No, we've got to get back to being British.
Yeah,
and British ways. And at the moment, unfortunately, Chris, I can't see that happening. They don't seem to like it. They don't seem to like being British at the moment because the far left are feeling guilty about absolutely everything. And problem being saying to us, it isn't a democracy when you put the rights of the minority above the rights of the majority. Well said.
Yeah, don't get me started about trick or treat or having leaving do's, dances, and going to your ball, all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Baby showers.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Gender reveals.
It's true. It's true. Hi, Golden Age Geek. It's all good getting rid of DEI, but the problem is that companies are now already filled with people who believe in the ideology, so the problem still exists and will continue. I do agree with that side of stuff as well, especially with our cousins over in America. So many of them. I mean, I see so many good. I'm sure people are trying to do the right thing, but they've just been brainwashed into this nonsense. And when I have straight white women, Paul, shouting at me on Facebook and Twitter, telling me I'm wrong and I don't know LGB history, something's gone wrong.
I think the thing is, you think inevitably or eventually, if this does become a cancelled situation, then they'll see through these hires that the people can't do the jobs. Therefore, they can say, well, actually, I don't think this is working out for us. We're going to, have to let you go or something, or get made redundant or whatever, so they can get shot at them. So.
Well, you can't. Well, you can, but you have to be very careful because they can scream blue murder.
Yeah, and use whatever card they want to use. Yeah.
I think
if they can't do the job, sorry, JT, if they can't do the job, you can't make them redundant because that job still exists, and you would have to do it with somebody else. And you can't make somebody redundant if the role still exists. The role has to go, and that's the problem, isn't it? JT, you're going to know that more than anybody because that's the sphere that you've been in, isn't it? With employers and things like that, you've help people and stuff, and you know that exactly.
Yeah, just to point out to Bill Lowry, the money from government, which government? The Welsh government. We've covered it before on the show. The Welsh government gave Bad Wolf so many millions of taxpayer money. You'll have to go back and look at that one, Bill. I can't remember which one it is, but you'll find it. It's on the playlist for headlines. What you have to do. I mean, I've told you the story before. I'll tell it again for any newbie people watching. A friend of mine was very high up in a particular business, which will remain nameless, as the head of HR. She worked very hard to do it all the way. And then this DEI stuff came through. And I'm going to say it because I'm not mentioning anybody. She disagreed with every single aspect of it, being the big gay man's friend that she is. So she disagreed with all this. She also happens to be a feminist. She had to go through an awful lot of this. She was told after an interview process that they had to hire a particular candidate. She didn't want to because she didn't feel that this candidate was suitable for the job. But she was told that they had to tick a box. They did do. And what happened within 6 months, they realized that this person was unsuitable for the role they had put her into. So therefore, my friend had to spend many sleepless nights trying to find where to move her to in the business. They ended up creating a role for her. They ended up taking somebody else into her old job. So they sidelined it into a job that they made specifically for her. And guess what? She couldn't do that one either. Took her ages to find something to do with her, because eventually the woman left to do something else. And that was The Gift. But goodness me, it's a minefield out there, and DEI hasn't helped to contribute to all this. But there we go. It's all starting to hit the fan now, isn't it, everybody? Let's see where it's all going to go. But as Sean Cryer's here saying, it's a massive failure. Davis, Mossad, Chibnall, it's all been a complete and utter failure. And one day, I hope the honesty will come out in all the books about the end of this era, about the end of New Who, will reflect that and will be honest.
It's going to make the Colin Baker era look like a normal thing, you know. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, as I say, these books will be truthful, because one thing we're not getting right now is truth. And this is going to lead me on to the next part of our show, everybody, because yes, everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, according to the BBC Studios brand executives and brand managers of Doctor Who. Yes, did you know there are any? Let me introduce you to them. This is Vanessa Hamilton on the left there, who is the brand director or director of brand development for Doctor Who and Scripted, and has been there since April 2022. And on the right there is brand manager James Page, who has also been in position since September 2022 as well. So there they are, look, laughing and joking on the TARDIS set when it was lit up and working.
He seems to have a very deformed hand, doesn't he? It's not.
I think it's just the lights on and the shot on that one as well.
It's bizarre, the camera angle and everything. But yeah.
Well, allegedly, obviously they're not doing their job right, because otherwise the show would be a better state than it is if they were trying to promote it. Surely.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
At this point, before we get to the actually, should we go into the article first? We'll go into the article first, everybody, because they have been in the news this week. Here it is here. This is from radiotimes.com, our friends over at Radio Times. Doctor Who execs on Disney budget, the BBC's priorities, and the future of the show. All eyes are on the future of the beloved show, says Louise Griffin. Louise, I have to tell you, not for the reasons you might think. She carries on with this radiotimes.com article. As Doctor Who's modern era approaches its 20th anniversary, all eyes are on the future of the show and what will it look like. There's no doubt it's an interesting time. That's understatement for the iconic science fiction series as we approach Gatwa's highly anticipated excuse me, second season, following a run that had the eyes of the world on it thanks to a lucrative deal with Disney. The eyes of the world. See where the denial is already coming in, the blase. Nobody cared. Here we go. Let's carry on.
Is that eyes plural? Just checking there.
I don't know, yeah. But how do the powers that be feel about how the first season of the show's soft reboot went? What impact has the Disney budget actually had on the show? And how would they respond to debates about the show's success? As the doors to Doctor Who's prop auction, which is raising money for children in need, open, Radio Times caught up with John Hamer, production executive, and Vanessa Hamilton, brand director, to get their thoughts. Hamer, who represents BBC Studios across all Whoniverse productions, not many of them then, looks back on the first season of Doctor Who's new era as a huge success. It's been brilliant. It just shows
how are they measuring that?
With this teeny weeny plastic ruler. Teeny weeny plastic ruler.
Okay.
But here we go.
Yeah.
It just shows that the passion for Doctor Who as a brand, as a character in the world, it just keeps on going. Obviously, watch our show. And it can't keep regenerating each time. A cheesy line, but it can. Each new era in Doctor Who gives us something new and a different take on it, and a different take on the character, and reflects the audience itself. They're so disillusioned as people, aren't they? One big difference is the budget. It's no secret that Doctor Who has had a very welcome injection of cash, resulting in visuals and scenes that just wouldn't have been possible back in the day.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
Spot them if you can. Put your answers on a postcard to Who's Views. Anyway, we've got this here. Doctor Who's always not struggled, but it's hard to get the financial backing to realise writers' visions, Hamer points out. You do the best with what you can. The new budget has elevated that, in a sense, in that you can create this world a bit more convincingly than in 1963. So obviously what they're doing here is they're now comparing 2024-25 Doctor Who to 1963. How pathetic. Pathetic.
Some of the things they did in the 60s were amazing, and these were in studios. We reviewed 10th Planet the other week there. That snow sequence was superb. South Pole created in the studio. That was amazing. You can't knock that, really.
If
Honestly.
they hadn't done what they were doing in the 60s and 70s, these people wouldn't be in a job today.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You go back to the Daleks, the second ever story, the 5th ever episode, where they're standing on that cliff and looking down on the Dalek city.
Yeah.
That is visually superb.
Yeah.
And that was 1963. And,
Well, you could be... You could be wrong in thinking, actually, Ian and Paul, that our brand director here, Vanessa Hamilton, hasn't actually watched any Doctor Who. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
I think it's really added to the ambition of it, all this money. That's where this is getting up from. And made it a global show, which has always been, but it's given it the chance to reach that bigger audience. Nobody laugh at that one. Okay?
Can't help it, no.
No, nobody laugh at that. So with that amplified reach and budget, what are the brand priorities for Doctor Who right now? Deep breath, everybody. Brand director Hamilton explains, for us, it's celebrating the breadth of Doctor Who and the fact that every day people are learning about it and falling in love with it. And everyone has their own Doctor and their favourite stories, she says. I've been watching classic Doctor Who in order. What other show has this long a shelf life? That people will still watch content from the 60s and then hop to 2013 and all around. I think for us, it's about celebrating all of the different ways that people love Doctor Who. From a brand point of view, that's what we want to lean into. That Doctor Who means so many things to so many different people, but it's all a bit different. There are some who will always claim that Doctor Who has run its course. Welcome to Who's Views, everybody. As for what she'd say to that portion of the viewership, Hamilton added, Doctor Who, this is to us, Doctor Who will always be around in people's hearts and minds, and it'll never go away in that respect. It's been around for 60 years. It'll continue to be around for as long as people love adventures in space and time. Of course, there are millions of fans who still love those adventures, and now they have a chance to earn a piece of Doctor Who history with an online auction. I'm not going to go into that nonsense, but let's look at that again. She said to us, all of us, Doctor Who will always be around in people's hearts and minds, and it will never go away in that respect. It's been around for 60 years. It'll continue to be around for as long as people love adventures in space and time. Okay, so to Vanessa, I'm going to give you this message direct. The original proper Doctor Who will be around for the rest of time. The current crap will not be. It will be forgotten from 2017 onwards, because guess what? We as fans don't like it. We don't want it. We don't support it. The minority that do are not enough to treasure this enough to carry it into the future like we all did, passing it down to kids. It's not going to happen. You will have to be relying as a brand manager, you and your team, on 1963 to 1989 Doctor Who, with a little bit added from the new series for quite some time.
The way it's written, it suggests it's going away, doesn't it? A little bit. In the way
Did you get that as well?
Yeah.
Now, just to point out, everybody, this appeared in the Radio Times, and you just seen because I've got the grabs there. You can also see this now on video on the Radio Times details on the Radio Times social media and their website. You can go and see this actually, because that's what they're tending to do now. They're trying. I don't quite understand this. They're publishing the article and then they're showing the video as well. So surely that's detracting from them reading their content.
I was interested to say that see that she said she was watching Doctor Who from the start. If he's watching it on the iPlayer, God help her, the quality's shocking, certainly for the 60s episode, honestly.
Can I just put into content with you as well about this lady? I'll give you a little bit of a brief so we know who she is, because have we heard of her before? No. But this is Vanessa Hamilton, who goes by the pronouns she and her. Of course she does. She's an experienced brand director, strategic content and marketing leader, and entertainment industry expert. Her words. She's been director of brand development for Doctor Who and scripted since April 2022 to the present day. Before that, she was the head of brand of Doctor Who between 2018 and 2022. In 2014 to 2017, she was program and marketing manager and an account executive for Amazon. And before that, in 2010 and 2014, she was a senior account executive in Burbank, California for Walt Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Bit nepotism there then, allegedly. Yeah. Yeah.
You'd think it was planned, wouldn't you? And I also introduced their brand manager, James Page. Hello to James, if you're watching. He's been now this one as well. He's been in. He goes by the pronouns he, him.
Is he a Davison fan, is he? We're judging by that cricket sweater.
He's too young. Anyway, he's been the brand manager for Doctor Who since September 2022. Before that, he did 4 years service at a business called Raw in London as the content producer, a creative producer, and a series producer. So he had a progressive little career there. However, big thing for me, the big interesting point I was at is that between 2018 and 2019, he worked for Pink News.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did. Of course he did. But yeah, Paul, you mentioned there that whole thing. It is a case of there's nothing to see here. Yeah. Everything's fine. The fan base is fine. The show is fine. They are really doubling down on the party line. The real. I mean, you can just. It's like the chief whip going around, isn't it? You can just imagine. No, this is what.
It's like trying to cause a diversion. Look over there, quick! Yeah. What do you think, Ian?
I agree with what Problem Being said there. I think it's. I've said it a few times tonight. It's just gaslighting. It's gaslighting. It's dead. It's over. The new series has been dead for quite a few years. It's just been slowly decomposing. They have got nothing to promote that will interest anybody. And we know the ones that they market it to don't buy merch anyway. So there's just nothing. They are going to exist and subsist on the original series, the classic series, the proper stuff.
And then a little bit added, I think, from the reboot.
Yeah. You'll get a few. You'll get the fond views of the stuff that we've said before. The best stuff of New Who hasn't been written by Russell T Davies.
It hasn't.
And
hindsight's a wonderful thing, viewers.
And Moffat's best stories really weren't when he was producer, weren't when he was showrunner. They came when he was just a writer, and it's just embarrassing, isn't it?
Well, if the show's dead, Ian, and it's decomposing, I'm looking forward to its cremation. That'll be fun.
Yeah. I just want to add to this point. Some of you in the chat may remember a person called Luke Spillane.
Yes,
from a few years back. He was actually one of those spin-off shows. He was the young man that was coming on, and he did some stuff for Doctor Who magazine as well. Do you remember? Dark hair. He did some of the interviews with the Confidential, whatever it was called back then. I'd lost interest by this point, but I just want you to know that in case you didn't know, Mr. Luke Spillane is now the head of digital for Doctor Who.
Oh. More.
We were talking about DEI earlier, Ian. Not that I'm saying anything, but we were talking about DEI earlier, and
it's very diverse, isn't it? Because everybody seems to be from a certain group.
And also, I can't be done with this whole thing. I understand why businesses did it about always going out and employing the young people. Now, I can understand that. I open a can of worms when I start talking about it. I understand this because young people need to start. Of course they do. But they don't need to go to the top of the queue over everybody else that quickly. When I was a kid, you came in at 15, 16, whatever it is, and you would work with people who are much older than you, and you would learn and you would make your way up. And now people are getting to be the head of digital for being in the right place at the right time, as far as I'm concerned, allegedly, who are, I mean, what experience is there? Do you know what I'm saying? Can of worms have opened there, everybody, but I genuinely believe it.
That brand person, boy, child, fetus, whatever he was. I mean, how old do we know how old he is? Because he goes back and
he's in his 20s.
12.
For 4 years. He's what?
12. He's in his 20s.
Yeah.
Right. So you go back and then he did these 4 years as a producer. You don't come in as a producer, do you?
No,
you would do a grounding to become a producer. You wouldn't. I mean, look how long JNT spent.
Oh God.
Before he became a producer, he really put the years in, didn't he? He put the graft in. He got to learn everything. This prepubescent thing has just gone straight in as a. It's ridiculous. They can't possibly develop any skill in that time.
And they're all part, as you can tell by the pronouns. Always look suspiciously at anybody that uses personal pronouns, because they either genuinely believe it, they're telling lies, i.e., or they've jumped on a bandwagon and don't understand the full implications. In which case, please educate them to say, do you realise you're supporting a misogynistic and homophobic element there? But this is the problem, isn't it? This is again. Do you see who this is tying in with the whole DEI thing? Allegedly, got to be careful here what we're saying. But we've got. I mean, and as Paul was pointing out, they haven't done a very good job, have they, really, of looking after a brand? And that comes down from RTD onwards as well, actually, saying, this is the material you're giving me. I mean, you would look at that series and just go, oh, God, what am I going to do with this?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
You know, because you can't do anything, can you? There's a small minority you can aim it at, and there's not enough to sustain it around the world, quite frankly. And some of them are too busy doing other things, you know, like being activists and trying to do stuff that is all in their head. Paul Stenford is saying 1963 Doctor Who was far more convincing than anything in the modern era. These people are either just happy to tell lies about the show or they give a whole new meaning to delusional. Yes, absolutely. Problem being, yes, we love Adventures in Space and Time, but it's now not about Adventures in Space and Time. It's now about Adventures in Gender Woo and racism. Yawn. Again, they're denying, aren't they, that they've alienated the fan base. And what the brand managers should have been doing is working with the production team to say, you've got to bring the fans back, because without the fans, there's no show. Because even if the public had deserted like they had, if the millions of fans were still there, it would have survived. If it was proper Doctor Who, it would have got over the blip, because we would have helped to bring the public back around the world.
They would have been involved.
If they simply made it accessible to everyone like it used to be, it'd been fine. Yeah.
They would have been involved right from the script point of view. And at that point, if they were doing their job, and I don't know how many's in their team, but if they were doing their job, they should have been saying, we cannot market and sell this to a mass market. It's unsellable.
Well, they go on to say that they've been working very closely with the current production team. But I'm coming out with that whole thing of, well, you haven't been able to, or not confident enough, or you're so far up a certain person's arse, you haven't had the confidence to be able to turn around and say, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. Somebody somewhere needs to eventually say, this is nonsense. This is not working, and I can't sell this as a brand. Because that's the whole thing of a brand. You have to sell it.
Yeah.
And this hasn't been done very well. I mean, look at the lack of licensees for merchandise now. Look at the lack of quality merchandise. The good stuff with merchandise has blooming Tom Baker's face on it, for crying out loud. Yeah, that's the only thing that's selling. You know, it just frustrates me. Can you tell everybody? Tim Kinn's Doctor Who will always be in people's hearts and minds, and it's also gone to live on a nice farm where it'll be very happy, just like the second Tenant one. TARDIS Travels, well, they think that if the show is off the air, that they can rely on the books, the CDs, the DVDs, Bog Finish in the magazine, also the character options toys. Well, they can't, can they? Because if there's, we all know, and it's very difficult to get the proof, but we can all speculate that the merchandise has gone down. Certainly the new version from the Chibnall era onwards hasn't sold anything. And you can tell that by the landfill and the warehouse full of it, of Jodie Whittaker toys.
And that now is 8 years since Capaldi left, which is scary. So you think about that amount of time and much money they've lost in that time is obscene. You know,
so let's also see as well that when this version of Doctor Who does come off the air, let's see how long Doctor Who magazine lasts, shall we, this time around? Because I don't think it'll survive again. I really don't. I reckon a year, if that, guys. I don't know.
I wouldn't give it that.
You wouldn't?
Give it that. No, I think it'd probably fade within probably 2 or 3 issues.
We'll soon see, everybody, won't we? Everybody in the chat, we'll soon see. Robert Payne is saying it's not what they know, but who they know. We've seen a lot of that going on in Britain. A lot of that. Yeah, absolutely. Problem being was no he, him. Is he sure of that? Bitch. Mudcrap. Pink News. No, you got a source for that? Yes, exactly. That's all Pink News tend to do. State your source. State your source. Oh, bugger off. You know? But yes, I do. But I'm not telling you where it was. Because you never know who's watching. Well, let's have a look. Here's James Page's favourite Doctor Who episode, The Hand of Fear, because of that hand. Oh, see what he did there. See what he did there. Yeah. Paul Rose, can you ever just imagine having to peddle Gatwa and this woke BS? What a miserable job. No, thank you. It must be very difficult, mustn't it?
Yeah.
It must be very difficult.
Yeah, trust me, it's good, honest.
Yeah, Crystal Pollution with his Space Sentinel there is saying, after this show, I will be watching some proper Who. Yay! And I know which one you should be watching. It's The Invasion, starring Patrick Troughton, because we're reviewing it this Wednesday on this channel, live at 8 o'clock. Please come and join us, everybody. Chris Lawley, what you're saying to us, it is an inclusive, diversive journey we all need to immerse ourselves within as the team to grow together on our journey to discover more together, to understand our strength, understanding our... Oh, please, he's been on one. You've had the course, haven't you? Yes, we know. Yes, we know. Look at that,
it's just word salad, isn't it? It's just word salad.
Yeah. Would they be sarcastic, did you think, or was that genuine?
Julianne is saying to us, look at that right pair of scruffy beggars. Brand managers, they look like the cleaning team. Hey, the cleaning teams are very smart, aren't they? But yeah.
And a lot more professional.
Yeah. Thank you to Rory and Cheryl again for this one. Next RTD show to be... Oh dear, absolutely. But this is the brand management team of Doctor Who. Everybody, did you know about them? Thor behind is saying to us, none of them have a Scooby. They are trying to stand on the shoulders of giants and falling on their asses. This is the problem. I mean, this is I'm going to contradict myself slightly now. If you're a brand manager of something like Doctor Who, I actually think it works if you are a fan.
Yeah.
Because you understand the brand. So this is where I think it would be quite good. So any one of us could go in and be a brand manager of Doctor Who because we've got that love of the show, that experience of the show. James apparently is a fan. Now, a few years ago, I recall him being very excited on his Twitter or a video, wherever it was, saying, oh, I'm going to be a brand manager. And I remember saying at the time, you're 10 years old. How can you possibly be a brand manager of anything?
I wasn't far off. Yeah.
But have they had an impact on Doctor Who? Has this new brand content for the Ncuti Gatwa era or from the second Tennant era onwards had an impact, everybody? Have you noticed it? Because I haven't, being very honest.
Well, a negative impact, certainly. Yeah.
It's just had a lot of people running it that have been very, very self-destructive. I can't see anybody that's got the actual interests of it at heart. No.
Yeah. Lots of you in the chat with this one as well. Have you noticed this? I'm going to now do, everybody, because we've got that time. Now, this is where we point out to you guys, if you have something to sum up on any of the conversations we've had now, this is the time to do it. So start putting in the chat to sum up, and we'll go through it. We'll read them as well. To sum up what you want to say about anything that we've talked about on the show tonight. Here we go. Right, it does take a wee second for the platform to catch up with me. So yeah, to sum up, okay, what you're saying in there as well. Jane Smee is saying to us, what was wrong with using Mr. Mrs. MX? I find pronouns insulting to my intelligence because I know perfectly well that he goes with him and she goes with her. That's the truth that's coming back out again now. It really is. And I think the pronoun nonsense has also had its day now because suddenly it went from all this. I mean, how can anybody be supporting this pronoun nonsense when they're suddenly saying Z, La La, Dixieland, whatever it is? Do you know what I mean? I mean, have you seen how many things they're going to use now? It's absolute nonsensical. It's just stupidity. And trying to enforce that onto the public. I'm not happy. I mean, you've seen that video that goes around as well on the social media of the hairdresser. I don't know if it's staged or not, because a lot of stuff is nowadays, where the hairdresser goes up and says, can I touch you? You're a bloody hairdresser. Yeah. Get on with it. Oh, my pronouns are, what are yours? And I know these freaks going, oh, thank you for that. Stay in your bedroom.
In basic practical terms, it's like if you're trying to organize a party, it's they, them. How many people are coming? That's the problem, you know?
I know. Yeah. I would just say to everybody, if you've got that problem, stay in your bedroom. That's it. Don't come out. We don't want to see you. And don't get benefits either. Good effects are no substitute for a good story, says Thor behind. We're all going to agree with that, aren't they? We really are. Tony Crosby said, my mother used to say, who's she? The cat's mother. Yes, my mother still says that now. if I say to her, if I say something like that to her, she'll say, who am I? The cat's mother. Bless her. So funny. Who the hell would want to work with for RTD anyway, says Problem Being. From so many accounts, he's a horrendous bully and a tyrant, unless you're on the same side as him, which would explain why so many people will bend the knee. And we certainly know that certain casting directors that will certainly be working on his next drama for Channel 4, see the beginning of the show, you're not going to get work with that particular person unless you're using pronouns.
Yeah.
I tell you.
I wonder if the electrician will be played by a straight actor.
Oh, probably.
If he's playing it, maybe a straight character. He better be. Tell you that.
It'll be a white 50-year-old actor. You know, White
It'll be
50-year-old
one
actor who looks a little bit lived in.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be very surprised if it isn't, but it'll be a stereotypical, and he'll be the one that's in the wrong.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be white.
It's so predictable, the whole thing. Let's talk about, we'll do a whole show about what this is going to be about, and then nobody has to watch it, then we'll get it around everywhere. I'm kidding. Stephen Braddock is saying they can't rely on the toys character ground to a virtual halt due to non-sales. Bill Lowry is saying Gatwa's autographs were £150, but now you can get them for 30. It wasn't even an autograph, was it? It was a scribble.
I saw some surplus ones on some website where they were still charging 130 quid for Shooty with a heart. I think it's 15 under it. It's Shooty, then 15, and that's the autograph. That's it.
And these people are paying that? They're absolutely insane. Yeah. I'd be sick if I'd been at that Comic-Con in London, spent all that money, and then suddenly you can get it for 25, 30 quid. A couple of months later, I'd be sick.
Yeah.
The brand managers look so young and inexperienced, they couldn't stand up to a stiff wind. Never mind RTD, says Julianne. David B, nice to see you. 100% read the merchandise. Just thinking that myself. I remember being in M&S about 15 years ago, one December, and there was a huge display of Doctor Who items and the Top Gear too, for that matter. All of which were managed by the then brand team at BBC Studios because they had products that were huge. So when the licensees came, we'd like to do cups and we'd like to do bubble bath and we'd like to do whatever else they were doing, chocolate bars, yogurts. Do you remember the yogurts that were out?
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
Tins of beans and things like that,
That. They went, yes. Massive promotion for the show. Everybody knew Doctor Who was here. Everybody knew it was back. They were seeing it everywhere. All the supermarkets, M&S, as you're saying there, David, everywhere else. That's the biggest promotion you could ever do. Was it repeated by the brand this year? No, because the show was that bad. I would have struggled trying to sell that crap from last year as well, to be honest. And I'm quite a good salesperson, I have to tell you.
I must admit, I'm glad Weetabix didn't make a comeback, though. I have to say.
Oh, I know. Oh, look, Agent Smith, me, down from Australia is with us. Well, hello to you. It's nice to see you. Thank you very much. Why does Doctor Who need a brand manager anyway? Well, at one point it was quite big. And everything had to be, it's the way they do it now. Everything was branded. It had to look a certain way, didn't it? It was all the style guides and all that sort of stuff. And it was a thing that they do now to make sure that everything looks. Do you remember when I haven't got anything to hand because it's all over there. Do you remember when the action figures came up from character when the series came back? It was all that lovely, very eye-catching red and orange cardboard, and everything was the red and orange. So you saw, whether it be the beans or the spaghetti, you saw it.
It was a bit like the logo, wasn't it? You know, that kind of colour, that the taxi logo they had, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So that's why. So it does sort of work to try and bring everything together, but it's very difficult when you've got a program that nobody cares about. It really is. It really is. Right, we're getting to some ups here now as well. Agent Smith Mimi that just joined us said, to sum up, Elon Musk should take over Doctor Who. Now steady.
Okay. When you watch The Invasion, that's what I thought about Tobias Vaughan.
Daniel is saying to us, to sum up, when Tiptoe fails, RTD will be on Universal credit.
Oh, good one. Nice one. Yeah.
Well done, Daniel. That's funny. That's our benefits.
Let's hope they reject his claim.
Yeah. Java being saying to us, oh, mate, to sum up, it's over. We had a second bite of the cherry, but the cherry is now rotten. Thank you for that. And Spiel, nice to see you, mate. To sum up, Whose Views is the very best. Oh, thank you so much. That's lovely. Thank you, mate. To sum up, no season 3, says TARDIS Travels.
Thank God.
What else we got? To sum up from Lex, I watch my favorite episodes of Stargate SG-1. It's more current than pointless Doctor Who or Disney Who. Okay. Can't comment on that because I never watched it. I was always working or out partying. Bill Lowry, to sum up, keep an eye on your Doctor Who magazine being held for you at your newsagents. Just checked, and mine is £107 due to 3 specials at £20 each. My goodness me. No, really. That's horrific. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. To sum up, says Steve Braddock, he's kicked the bucket, he's shuffled off his multiple coil, run down the curtain and joined the bleeding choir invisible. This is an X program.
Yeah. It's a dead parrot, definitely, yes. Yeah.
Tony Crosby, to sum up, please pull the plug on this embarrassing show and people involved in ruining my beloved show. Here. What else we got? To sum up, says Jane, all the evidence is pointing to the end of the RTD shooty regime after season 2 and the spin-off have been shown, and just after a very quick time, which I think we should all be grateful for.
Yes.
St. Rosie Mead, nice to see us. To sum up, I've got all my DVDs to watch over and over and over again, and by God, they can't take them away from you, my friends.
No.
To sum up, says Raymond Williams, it's the end, but the moment hasn't been prepared for. It certainly took them by surprise, didn't it, kid? It did.
Yeah.
To sum up, bye-bye DEI, says Dalek Eye. Absolutely.
That's quite poetic, that was, actually, yeah.
To sum up, says Stephen Braddock, Christopher Eccleston leaving in 2004 makes so much sense now. Oh, there's more to come on that. I absolutely am convinced. Yeah. Lots more to come with the Eccleston stuff. He's getting a little bit brave now. He's like Barrowman, isn't it? They're starting to talk a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot more when this thing goes off the air. I think they're all going to be feeling.
There'll be a Doctor Who, like Hollywood Babylon type book. That's what you want. Yeah.
I think it's on the way. On the way. Rory and Cheryl and friends too. To sum up, RTD2 was crap.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it when they get straight to the point. And Mark Milford, to sum up, 63 to 89 will always shine. 2005 to 2017, good, but a little routine. 2018 to 2025, we just wanted it to die. Marjorie, to sum up, JT, Ian and Paul make my Sundays fun with this show. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you, Marjorie. Thank you. Lex back with another sum up. You can't have two, you cheat. To William Shatner, what classic sci-fi actor was fantastic in cop TV series TJ Hooker? I'm actually watching that at the moment because I've just discovered it's on about 6 o'clock every night on Legend.
How many stunt double were great, weren't they? Yeah. So.
And you can see them as well. They're very dated, though. Yeah. They're very dated. The way the fellas look at the women, it's worse than the Carry On film. What else we got? St. Rosie Mead has also given us the second one here, cheeky. To sum up, 2 classical rules. She even put the 2 in the classic to sum up number 2. Paul Stenterford, to sum up, RTG can tiptoe out of our favourite show. DEI is dying, and I look forward to seeing the Doctor Who brand managers serving burgers and McDonald's. Ooh.
They're not qualified.
I was just thinking that they're not qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure McDonald's will be getting rid of. I don't even know if they've got DEI policies in there.
Yeah.
Because their training for the youngsters is superb. I know that because I've seen it. It's absolutely superb customer service. It's a great learning training vehicle for youngsters to go into hospitality. One of the last industries we've got left here in the United Kingdom. To sum up, says Daryl Joyce, BBC license fee is going up on April Fool's Day. Yes, it is. I was going to cover that tonight, but we haven't got enough time, so we might come back to it next week, depending what presents they give us this week. What else? They're doing a terrible job now, says Peter Ventman Fansite. And
which mean no.
Yeah, exactly. What else? Any more to sum up, guys? Oh, yes. Another one from Rory and Cheryl and friends, too. To sum up, RTD and Shooty are out. That's terrible, isn't it? Anything more? Craig, hello. It would make a good episode of The Apprentice to have this year's entrepreneurs be tasked with selling a warehouse full of new Who merchandise.
It would.
It'd be hilarious.
That'd be a challenge even for them. Yeah.
Yeah, because they couldn't get rid of them at all, could they? God bless them.
You'd have to pay people to take them away.
Yeah, exactly.
But they can as well, wouldn't it? Because they had the Apprentice on that Power of 3 episode trying to use the cubes.
That's right. Yeah.
You two are good. See, I don't remember all that crap. Don't remember. It was
that's a Chibnall episode. I quite enjoyed that one, bizarrely, but anyway.
I was losing interest in the will to live with it all. I just thought, well, where's the Doctor Who gone? You know, because I think it started around that point. That series 7 was bloody awful. Awful. Anyway, Thor behind to sum up. RTD has gone to Canal Street. He's left Who in a mess. The TARDIS doors are hanging off. The ratings, will take a guess. Very good. They're all very good.
Flatline comes to mind, doesn't it? Yeah.
They're all very creative in our chat. Tim Kintz, to sum up, quite simply, justice for Mince. The struggle is real, brothers.
Yeah. For the Mince. Yeah. So.
Chris Lawley's asking us, what writer would you like to write an episode now? That's an entirely different show. Stay with us here on the channel. Make sure you've subscribed and ring that bell to get notifications, because we're going to be looking at that in another show. So stay with us and come and join us in the live chats. We do appreciate you all being with us. And Stephen Braddock, to sum up, we'll all be with you to watch your autopsies of the next season. You won't suffer alone. That's what I want to hear. Yes, make sure you're all here as we start going through all this nonsense. Mudcrab, to sum up, no 2025 Christmas, no season 3 and 26, and now probably no season 3 and 27 either. Realistically, 28 or 29 at the very earliest. I would say that was too soon. If they've got any sense, which they don't, get it off the air for quite some time and let the industry get over the nonsense. Let's identify some brand new producers and writers and good talents out there, and then possibly. But the work will be, Mudcrab, in my eyes, getting the British public on board and getting the fan base back after years of being told you are ist, ots, phobes, right wing, and even from some of its own fan base. That's going to be a year's work anyway. Yeah, I think, because without us, it's not going to be successful when it comes back, if it ever comes back. Oh, what else? It's nice to see you all. Thank you so much for everybody to come up. There's lots of sum ups to come up here. Jason Parker, to sum up, Doctor Who is dead with a capital F. Rick Storm, to sum up in the style of Rachel from Accounts, Doctor Who now is a 100 million black hole. Oh, it's brilliant. Thank you so much. It's great.
I would check the CV first before you make any comment on that, but
to sum up, says Digital Pollution, this show is good, but New Who is not. Thank you so much for that one. Derek, to sum up, merchandise is gone now. It's only available in Forbidden Planet, B&M, the Who shop and sci-fi shops. Rest is gone, i.e. supermarkets. They can't get them to buy in. They don't want to know. They're not even looking at them as lost leaders, because they're not. And they could be terrified that they'll have all this stock and not able to do anything with it. You know? Yeah. So that's why we were saying the other week, we'd heard that the character options plush Meep the Beep had been scrapped. The action figures from the Tennant episodes, the second Tennant era, Star Beast, etc., had been scrapped. Nobody wanted them.
Can you imagine, though, if they announced a set of, I don't know, 2 Draconians and an Ogron?
Or
nice. Jamie Victoria and a Yeti. Yeah. They would sell out.
Yeah. Well,
sell out
you never know what might be happening in March, do you? The reason I say that, Who Views, is I'm expecting an announcement in March.
Yeah, by
don't know if it's true or not. Let's see.
But there's so much that they could dwell on the classic series that would sell all the way through.
Yeah, I think it will. I'm hoping it'll be classic in March, but let's just see what happens. To sum up, says David B, for the first time, nobody wants Fruity Gatto. Oof. To sum up, pumpkin lattes have been discontinued, says Tony Crosby. Steady on, yes. What else? Oh gosh, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Yes, okay, that's fine. I'm going to call it quits there, I think, everybody, because we're getting silly now as well. But thank you very much. Big show again tonight, guys. Lots to talk about. This is the gift that keeps on giving right now, and we're not even at the start of the publicity for Series 2 of Disney Who.
Yeah, there'll be a 6-hour show when that comes in.
Blooming frightening, isn't it? Listen, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been in the chat with us for this show. Thank you so much for coming to see us on Sunday nights and supporting us and being part of our show. It's so good to hear what you are thinking and what you want to say. It's very important. This is what Headlines is all about. We have got lots more to talk about. Let's see what nonsense they throw at us this week as well. Don't forget, as we've said before, The Invasion is our review this week as we continue our cyber season. Okay, so that's this Wednesday at 8 o'clock live. So you've got plenty of time now to go and watch this classic from Pratchett Drought and then come and talk to us all about it on Wednesday. And then we'll be back next week on Sunday with Headlines. Before that is a chit chat on Friday being dropped on the channel. It's a pre-recorded one, as usual. Be dropped on the channel at 8 o'clock. And I'll be delighted to welcome another Who's viewer into the middle there. So come and speak to myself and Sean Cryer will be with us. didn't say at the beginning of the show, everybody, thank you to everybody that had been messaging us this week. So I'm going to do it now, okay? Because we got straight into the chat, didn't we? But this week, I'd like to say thanks to Alan Aveson, to Mark Milford, to Steve Henley, to Bill Lowry, to Sarah Martin, to Kim Stacey, to Sean Cryer, to Adam Rossi, Julie Goodwin, to Mark A. Wright, to James Gibson, to Marty Curran, to Mark Graham Manson Gibbon, to Paul Schlufter, to Starman, to Darren Apcan. Happy birthday to you today, Darren. Lee Smith, to Chris Carlett, to Sam Morel, Daniel Leach, and to Josh Frowen. Thank you all so much. And thank you to everybody else that has been joining us and contributing to the show tonight. I hope you have enjoyed it.
JP, can I just say thank you to Mark Milford for his house moving Doctor Who characters poem that he sent through. That was absolutely banging. Loved it.
Yes. Our resident poet laureate, Mark Milford. I was going to read it out, but we've run out of time. But we'll get other times. I'll have to get myself organised when I'm Mark to do that. Theodore Benton, it's nice to see you as well. Love your shows. They make my days big. Cheers to all. Thank you so much. Chris Lawley is saying, don't forget to like. Yes, please give us a thumb up. Rick Storm is saying that the Invasion are his favourite Cybermen.
Yeah, they're great.
They are, and the action figure's gorgeous. Thank you, John, who's saying to us he enjoyed the stream, and Paul Stanford saying to us here, thank you for another great show. I really enjoyed it. Night, everybody. Indeed, night. It is brilliant to see you. Oh, thank you so much as ever. I'm going to call it a night now. You take care of yourselves, everybody. Thanks to Paul and to Third Doctor Ian for joining me. Been another big one. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
To all of you, take care of yourselves. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go back and watch it again. We will be back very shortly here on Who's Views, but don't forget, when they drop a headline, we're going to be here to talk about it. Until we see you again next on the channel. Ciao, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah, everyone. Bye-bye.